Tension on deck.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Good evening, John. Good evening, Ron. How's everybody doing?
Very good, thank you.
Doing well. As you can see, today we're going to have a very special guest, retired second grade detective, John Latanzio. Full disclosure, he's not only just a friend of the podcast and the as well as the Finest Unfiltered family. I know John going back to probably 1989 or so, around there.
Yep.
And then we lost track as our careers went separate ways for quite a few years. And also Rob and you obviously worked together during your days in 17 years in emergency services.
Yep. For a very long time.
We're excited to speak to you again. You're our first non-executive interview and guest, and that's a credit to Rob. When we first started, I had the thoughts of we should only really just interview executives since we're the executive perspective, and Rob and I had conversations, and Rob was like, "Listen, there's no reason we have plenty of people out there that would be great guests, and they would be great to come onto the show, speak about their career. It's interesting, as well as get from them and speak to them." And it's one of the things we'll get into later, your perspective on what it was like to deal with executives and your experiences with executives throughout your entire career. So kudos to Rob for changing my blockhead opinion. And so you're our first non-executive guest. So no pressure.
None. None
Make
here.
sure you prove Rob right.
None. Absolutely none.
I'm sure you're gonna, because like
I'm an open book. I'm an open book. I'm good.
Rob and I both know you. We're both looking forward to this show today. So listen, Rob, any opening thoughts before we get into it?
I just full disclosure, I don't know if I ever cut your overtime, John. If I did, I apologize.
Chief, no cash.
But I don't think I did. But we can talk about that later.
No, he didn't. Kamadana did it one time, but yeah, no.
That's great. All right, so let's get into it, John. What we like to do is basically, it's your show. So we're going to be guided by the conversation, however you bring it. We're going to, ask you some questions, sure. I guess, as the show goes along. Like I said, we've been talking, we haven't talked for years, and then we chit-chat, back and forth in the chat,
right.
But we've only started talking again the last few days, so we've caught up somewhat. But there's a lot about your career that I wasn't aware of, that I'm excited for you to tell the story to our guests. And sure. Then we'll get into some questions that we have. And then at the end, it's up to you. We do a segment called Ask the Executive, where we open up, I don't know if you've seen that segment, we open up to the chat where they they don't normally have access to executives, and we can ask the executive or ask John Latanzio a question. And then, listen, during the show, if there's anything in the chat that you see or we see, I know you got to throw on the glasses every now and then, but if we see anything, we'll bring it up, because we like to interact with our chat during the show as well. So That being said, welcome to the show. We appreciate you being here. So let's start like we always start. Tell us about yourself, how you grew up, where you grew up, what you did before you were on the job, and what led you to want to be in a job like law enforcement in the NYPD.
Yeah, for sure. First of all, blessed and honored. Thank you for making me the first non-executive. And I agree with Rob. And sometimes you need to see it from a different side of the glass, from the executive, from the officer, maybe the detective's view of how the leadership is perceived and viewed, within the job during my time. These are only, and first of all, I'm just going to speak from myself. I would never say, this or that from anybody else. Most of the stories I will tell you are actual fact that I was there and I witnessed it. So for sure.
Yeah, a lot of people, believe me, I've been getting a lot of good feedback on my social. People are looking forward to hearing from you. People that know you. and other people are looking to hear the good stories. I see your sister's on here, so
Yep.
Jackie.
Number one supporter. So yeah, first of all, I was born and raised in Staten Island, New York, the fifth and lost borough of New York City. Growing up in the 70s, I lived in the westerly Port Richmond area of Staten Island. My house was like 3 away from public school 19, so I walked to school almost every single day, going down that neighborhood. It was wiffle ball, stick ball, the stuff that kids did in the back. We actually had an old brook and a stream that ran down the back.
Wasn't this?
No phones back then. Bike riding, ramps. We used to have like a little ramp to jump this creek. Incredible. But how we survived, I don't know. And
There's a lot of things rushing through my head, and it's just going to continue.
Yeah, no helmet, no nothing. Maybe this is why I am who I am. I don't know. But for sure, the families were tight knit back then. I lived on Greenleaf Avenue between Forest Avenue and Post Avenue, and we had a laundromat that was a commercial sized laundromat right across the street from us and everything like that. So it was a lot of blue collar, white collar community down there, and the one that sticks out in my mind was Rocco Laurie, who was assassinated in '72. He lived in that community up there and everything. And in February of '72, Rocco Laurie, Foster and Laurie get ambushed in down in the village. And my dad is like cursing at the TV. It's like, oh my God, these guys did tours in Vietnam just to come back and get killed and one officer's black, one officer's white, tensions were high and so on and so forth. And my dad's like, you're not going to school, you're coming with me. And took me up the block to Blessed Sacrament Church and watched them carry out Rocco Laurie into the church and everything. Light snow, very cold that day. Miles and miles and miles of police officers, insane. So that was like my first time, like just understanding it. So
Mark Keitler's chiming in. Hello.
yeah, Tyler, thanks for the photo, buddy. We go on. My dad is a United States postal worker, and my mom was in home care attendant at a nursing home and everything like that. So I go to St. John's Lutheran School, and then I go to Port Richmond High School. I drop out of high school my senior year, and I joined the military in April '84. And I go to Fort Knox, Kentucky, and I become a gunner in a tank. Yep, that's the old version of me. So as I'm there and I'm doing my tour in the Army and everything like that, I'm ready to come out, and my grandmother's sending me all these applications for fire department, sanitation, police, and all she's just telling me is fill them out, fill them out, fill them out. I fill them out, and she'd pay the fee and mail it in for me. And I'm waiting, so on and so forth. And while I get out, and she goes, "Hey, I see this article in the paper for EMT. I don't know if you'd be interested to take this class." So I said, "Yeah, sure." I was up for anything. I just wanted to start getting out into the work field after I gotten out. So I wind up taking Monty Posner's course. Willie Wright was filled up, as you know. I mean, you have a great background in the EMT field also. So I pass. I take the course. I pass it on the first shot, and automatically I think, hey, I'm going to get a job. I start applying for hospitals and everything like that, and furthest from the truth, nobody wanted to hire me. Zero. Absolutely nobody. I had no experience, zero. So Richmond County Ambulance is down off of Castleton Avenue by the bus garage and everything like that. So I wind up going in there, and now I'm learning the interfacility transports from hospitals and nursing homes, such and so forth, back and forth. So I don't know who it was, but it might have been Dave Shane or somebody, one of the older guys. And he's like saying, "Hey, if you really want to see it, join a volunteer ambulance company." And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Like, just send me in the right direction, blah, blah, blah." So I catch up with Mary and Tom Reed. I put my application in, fill it out, and they say, "Hey, you got to go get this uniform, this, that, and the other thing. And you're going to be like the fourth guy." And you just started learning the ropes. And I can remember the first day clear as a bell. I get there, and I want to say Lars Blyvik was the driver.
Oh, wow.
I'm pretty sure it was Roseanne Murphy in the front, and I think I had John Hartman in the back and
Wow.
that was a stellar crew. I mean, these guys already were doing it.
Yeah.
And we drove down to the 120 precinct. We sign out a portable radio, and then we start listening for these codes, 54, 50. I have no idea, these 10 codes and everything like that. And right out of the box, we get like, I want to say it was a child on a bicycle struck by an automobile somewhere near Avenue B in the Port Richmond section. And we get there, and gruesome leg fracture. We're like this, that, and me, I'm hyped. I'm energized. I'm like, this is really like the gore, the guts, everything. Like, I'm into it. I'm like, I found my niche, this is it. So as time would have it, I'm wind up meeting so many more other people. I mean, North Shore Rescue Squad, I can honestly tell you, was definitely my foundation for the basis of all my career. Yeah, that's in the back of St. Vincent's Hospital. That's the old R4, I think. That's Rescue 4.
Who's that handsome guy in the middle?
Yeah, that's Ron Leyson. So I eventually meet Ron, and I've ridden numerous times out with Ron, and we've caught some great jobs out there. Ed Bogdanowitz, the list goes on. Paulie Perricone. So this rescue squad, I can honestly tell you, put out a lot of talent. Not only in the police department, then you had Jimmy Martin, who becomes an FDNY dispatcher. You have Craig Belowski, finishes up in ladder 5. Like these.
George Catrola saying hello.
Yep, George Chicola. Georgie's real estate guy down in Miami. I'll put a shout out for you, Georgie. What you call it? So yeah, for sure. You had Eric Cohen becomes a doctor. Yeah, you have Kathy Czar.
Listen, North Shore, not to interrupt, but like you said, there were so many good people that we rode with North Shore that went on to have all different types of career, both in EMS, medical field, other fields themselves, law enforcement. How many marriages?
It's incredible. I mean, so many. It's you can't Tom McCarthy. I mean, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
Highway 2, Highway 5 guy, and he retires and he goes and rejoins the company and goes up the chain. And unfortunately, has a fatal heart attack in his sleep and everything like that. But his son's on the job down in the 123 now, from what I understand, carrying the torch. So
it was like a family. We did everything together.
100%. Everything. There was so many things.
We had
new trips, Jersey Shore. I mean, trips to Atlantic City. I mean,
dinner dances.
100%. Yep, we had the dinner dance. Absolutely.
There's one in particular that you know where I'm going.
Yeah, so we have to keep the show PG, and that's a story for another story.
Yeah, but there's John and I at a dinner dance, having a blast from the North Shore Rescue Squad days.
Oh my God! And, so many.
Yeah.
Let's just say da-na-na-na-na-na.
Yeah. It might have something to do with the chicken dance. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
So after North Shore goes, I get a call from Billy Howe from St. Vincent's, and he's like, "Hey, if you're interested, your name popped up. You want to come work for St. Vincent's?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I do." You know, now I'm going to get paid for it. I mean, as volleys, we did it for the love and for the excitement and for the drive and to learn. And we saved a lot of lives. So I can honestly say that is no nothing to shake your head at. We pulled off a couple of miracles on yeah, as volunteers for
What
sure.
what year what year did you join North Shore, and what year did you and so you weren't on the job when you first joined North Shore?
No, no. 1988, I took Mike Monty Posner's course. 1989, I wind up joining North Shore Rescue Squad, and then I get the infamous phone call. Following a few days later, I get the phone call from the NYPD. So now I'm like, oh boy, you know, like I love the medical field. I love doing this, but my grandmother got arrested. She always said pension this. She was already putting it in my head how to play life chess, let's just call it. And she's like, you know, you're only gonna have to do this many years. You're only gonna have to do that, this, that, and the other thing. You know, she was a school teacher. She was up at PS 21 and PS 20, I think, were the two schools that she worked at. And she was English teacher, so she made sure my spelling grades were great, you know. And yeah, so the investigator's like, hey, um, are you still interested? And I'm like, yeah. So now I have to make that call back to Billy Howe and tell him, sorry, I got to pull the pin on that one. And it was it was the right thing to do for sure. So yeah, so the investigator goes, hey, be down at the Brooklyn College. You got 48 hours. Make sure you're in a suit and tie, this, that, and the other thing, and be on time. Like, just don't be late for this. So I'm like, yeah, no problem. I got you. Boom. I wake up, my alarm clock goes off early. I race into the car, I pull into Brooklyn, I find a parking garage, and I walk down the street, and there is a mob line around this corner that further than the eye can see. And I'm saying to myself, like, this is impossible. There's can't be this many people trying to get the same job I'm going for. And at the time, it turns out it's the second largest class in department history for 1990, October 15th, 1990. 2000, I think we started with 2,300 and change. And when it was all said and done, when we graduated, it was 2183 that graduated. It was a monster class. And I'm dead in the middle of this. So like I'm like 500-600 back from, I can't even see the door going into the building. They managed to get us into the thing. We're in the auditorium. We're filling out some paperwork. They make us stand up. I do, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, welcome to the NYPD, blah, blah. And they're like, we're going to take you out into the hallway because it's tri-agency test. And we're going to break you down into departments that you're going to wind up going to.
So, all right. So let me just stop you right there, just
sure,
to explain
absolutely.
to the audience a little bit, because a lot of them are too young to understand. 8311 will remember, but a lot of them are too young to remember that originally, before the merge, there was a tri-agency exam, which means you took one police officer exam, and it was tens of thousands of people that took it.
Yes.
And you didn't know until that day whether you were going to get picked up for housing police, which was a separate agency, the New York City Transit Police was a separate agency, or the NYPD.
Correct. So I still remember the test number I took. It was test 7009. I still remember my list number. My list number was 6799. I was in band 1, and I got called very quickly. I want to say I scored a 94% on the test. That was my score. And I'm not a good test taker. I am not. So yeah, so they bring us out in groups of 10. They're like, all right, boom, they're herding us out like cattle. And they're like, and the guy goes, transit, housing, next 5, NYPD, 10. I was number 5. I was housing. And at first I huffed. I was like, oh boy, housing. I'm like, I cringed a little bit, but I'm going to tell you right now, the best job in the world. And when the merger did happen, I really wasn't for it. I would have stayed 100%. I would have stayed. So yeah, so I'm assigned to PSA 4 in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, Jackson and Madison. I'm in the Valadic houses, and the precincts aren't a police station. Like, you're in a project and you have these people living above you. It's incredible. Across the street, in another development building, same development, but another apartment building, is the locker room. So we actually had to walk across the street, change in a locker, then come walk back across the street, and then stand roll call down there in the bottom of a housing project. We had a bank of cells that held, I think there were three cells in over there, and yeah, so we get there, and probably the first boss I encounter behind the desk is Gene Martin, Lieutenant Gene Martin. He's still around, and he's like, "Hey kid, roll calls back there. You just go right back over there, And then they gave us the walk around the command, the radio room, the cells, the booking, the so on and so forth, the little lounge, and yeah, Gene was a good guy to me, and I started meeting other bosses, Pittenger, um, Sergeant Pittenger. I want to say he was in the a Housing Emerald Society band. Um, big burly guy, smoked a cigar. I mean, then you had Guy Kriegel. He was like an FTO guy. He would take you out. And then they take you into the projects and say, "This is how we do a vertical. This is how we do our patrols." He's like, "Just slow down, follow my lead." He goes, the minute you get out of the car, start looking up, make sure no airmail coming off the top of the building, so on and so forth.
Tell people what airmail is.
Yep. So I'll just put it to you this way. Airmail is any object that they can throw at you, whether it's from a window or a rooftop, anything. It could be a dirty diaper to a bowling ball. I mean, and I've experienced several, like beer cans, stuff like that. So, and thank God.
John, let me interrupt. John, let me
Sure.
real quick. Did you have any apprehension to accept a housing position? Because I know when I went through, I saw guys crying. Like, you literally saw cops said he got transit, one guy got housing, and everybody else was city, and those guys were like hysterical. Was there any apprehension on your part, like
I
whether or
did.
not
I
to take
cringed.
that?
I cringed in the beginning. But I just knew that it was something I was going to have to swallow, because obviously everybody wants to be Big Blue. Nobody wants to be down in the hole with rail dust and the squealing and the screaming and all that crap going on down there. But at least in housing, like, you're dealing with people one-on-one in the project, so on and so forth. So like I was a little apprehensive. I wasn't angry. I wasn't mad. I was nervous because I was in a territory that I didn't know, and I'm coming from Staten Island, like
Yeah, right.
Staten Island, Long Island, whatever. You're not a city person. I've been to the city several times, but you're like hyper awareness and stuff like that when you go into the city. But now I'm like in it. And now you're in these people's homes, like that, like it just puts a great perspective on, like, these people had their own private police department.
Yeah, right.
It's wacky. It really is.
Was
And
the lieutenant intimidating to you when you first got there? Because I know when I first walked
they
in commands, they were like, you didn't even want to talk to the lieutenant because it was like, oh my
yeah,
God,
because I mean,
this
you
guy's
get a
like,
little bit of the stink eye, but overall, deep down inside, Gene was a great boss.
yeah.
Like, but I mean, I can tell you right now, like, and so I would go out a couple months into my career. I go out and I'm learning how getting these people for criminal trespass. And once you get criminal trespass, you're getting everything else. You're getting
Right,
drugs, you're
right.
getting drinking, peeing in the elevator, this, that, and the other thing. I mean, you're getting them all. Like, you're getting multiple charges the minute. You're not just getting them because they trespassed on the property. You got them for a lot of things. It's just like the doorway to find everything else. It's a walking Pandora's box and everything. So, and then I remember I want to say, if you want to stay out of the rain, collar up and get in, and you're never going back outside again. Find somebody.
Do you remember? Do you remember you remember the rumor about Camadana? Because he was housing as a cop.
Yes.
So the rumor was that he used to arrest somebody early in his tour, and then he would put him in the room downstairs in housing and wait till his end of tour, and then he would bring him to central booking. This way, he could get more overtime.
I cannot confirm or deny that. And this guy was a hatchet monster when he becomes a chief on overtime.
Yeah.
He taught Rob about overtime.
Yeah, no. I mean,
here's my mentor.
Point. You make a great point there, but yeah, for sure. I was never affected by that portion of it because I didn't experience Camadana in there. But Dewey Fong was the CO over there. Dewey Fong.
Yeah.
One day he asked me, and he's like, "Hey, would you mind going into the ruckus houses and doing a patrol in the ruckus houses? Yeah, I'm short a guy, so on and so forth." I'm like, "Yeah, no problem. I'm always Alfred E. Smith, or I'm up in the Baruch." So for some reason, he's like, "Would you have a no problem. So I go up there, and I'm on I forget the number of the building, but it's right up against the Manhattan Bridge. So I take the elevator. I'm going to start doing my vertical. Get up to the top. You turn your radio off. Or very, very low. Get up to the top. Go up to the penthouse. Walk the roof. I come back in, and I stand there for a good 2-3 minutes. I'm just waiting for like sounds and echoes coming out to see if I can hear if there's chatter or if there's commotion going on. And then I start descending the staircase. Every floor, you open up, check the hallway. If you have a partner, you can tap your stick on the wall 2 times. And, if you're working opposite stairwells and everything like that, some old school tactics and clearing out the building. Once they heard the tapping, these people are running like cockroaches. They're getting out of the building. They do not want to encounter us back then and everything. They packed their tent and they moved their circus to another building when we cleared it. So I get down around the I want to say 6th or 7th floor. And I open up the door and I take a peek into the hallway, and all of a sudden I hear psst, psst, like that. And I almost closed it. I stick my head out and I see this older woman. She's got the chain across the door, and she's like, and she's pointing at where the fire hose hangs out and everything like that. And she goes, she's gone. So I go and I inspect. The fire hose is missing. Just the brass connections there. I'm like, they stole the brass knob for the hose for the building. Like, it's not attached. Everything gets stolen in housing. Like, there's nothing. I'm surprised they didn't take the glass out and make a frame for a picture or something, So I'm futzing around, and I look at her, I'm like, she's going. So now I take my little I jimmy rig a little hook, because sometimes we get stuck occupied elevators and we can go in and we can open up the elevators for people and everything. So I stick the hook up, and all of a sudden I pull down, and there's a little black pouch drops out. Baggies of crack, a couple rounds, and a little Derringer. Little Derringer comes out in there, 2-shot. And she goes, 6H. 6H. She's saying 6H. I'm like, okay. And I start walking away. She's going, 6H. I'm like, no, it's okay. I'm not going to 6H, knock on the door. Excuse me, is this your Derringer and this your crack? Like, I'm not doing that. So I get down the rest of the building. I call for a car. I'm like, hey, I need an 85 administrative. Take me back to the house. Found property. Boom. Come back. I'm in there. I'm typing it up, and I do a confidential report on it, and I forwarded to the crime guys and everything like that. I'm like, this woman is petrified. She's saying it's 6H, so on and so forth. A couple of weeks later, they sat on that place. They got a warrant. They knocked it out. That building was very happy that day. And
That's good.
Dewey Fong's like, you know what? You paid attention to detail. It's the little things that led to a big thing. It's like, he goes, and he put me in for officer of the month just doing that. I didn't even make a collar. It was like crazy. So
Hey.
there's my little name on a little placard, so on and so forth. But it was nice to get recognized like that and everything.
Hey, John, one of our listeners, Acer NYC, wants to know if you remember a Mike Padella from PSA 4 called Rambo.
Rambo. So we had great talent came out of housing and so on and so forth. Even the bosses eventually, as they rose through the ranks, awesome guys. It's a tighter, smaller department. It's not as big as the NYPD where you get lost in the system. So like they were able to say, hey, you want to go, like they saw potential in you. You want to go to the squad. You want to go do, plain clothes. You want to go over here, so on and so forth. None of that. Obviously, it's my rookie year out there and everything like that. So I encountered Paul Heidelberger, and Paul Heidelberger is like the Ron Leyson. He's the character. He's very full of energy. He's the guy that wants to go rollerblading. Let's go, gets tickets to the Knicks games. Like he organizes all these little functions. Let's go out. Let's do this. A couple of 4-to-4s, but for the most part, everybody's like always in an upbeat mood and everything. And unfortunately, he gets attacked in a bar. He tries breaking up a bar fight, and the bouncer winds up thinking that it's him and another two of his friends. He's there with two other guys from out of town, and Paul dies. Another guy is killed, and the third guy is critically injured. And the manhunt is on, and it takes weeks to find this guy that murders Paul Heidelberger and everything like that. But I had the privilege and the honor of being, with Paul's mom at the day of the funeral, and these are things that will stay in the back of your mind forever and ever and ever. But our promise to her was that we were going to find this guy, and the housing detectives went above and beyond. Those guys shook every tree, knocked every door, and we finally found this guy. And this guy's still in prison, thank God. So
Good.
yeah.
So John, just a quick question there because I wasn't even aware of this. So back when there was the housing police department, you actually had your own squads, not like today, where they were encompassed with whatever precinct.
Yeah, 100%. There's so many names that are racing through my head right now, and quickly, I had nothing to do with this. I promised I wouldn't tell a story that I wasn't involved in or anything like that. But John Williamson was in my sister company in 1990. I was 9052, and he was company 9053. A bucket comes sailing off the rooftop up in Washington Heights, and it hits him smack dab in the head and almost fully decapitates him. He's killed instantly up in Washington Heights. And his killer is on a plane getting ready to leave the country to go to the Dominican Republic. And two of our detectives, Scotty Wagner and another guy, stopped the plane and board like movie crap, board the plane and drag this guy off at gunpoint with the Port Authority police and capture this guy. Like, that's insane. Really hot detectives. They went out of town. We would go pick up perps from other states and bring them back for crimes that they committed in the housing authority. Yeah. Good stuff.
What about this caller?
So in August of 91, I'm patrolling the Alfred E. Smith houses with Shawnee Page at the time. And her last name's now Moore. And she's retired also. She's on meal, and I'm out doing a single patrol at 180. I'm down by 180 South Street, if I'm not mistaken. And I finished the patrol, and I go to the phone booth, and I'm calling my wife, my girlfriend at the time, and I'm like, "Hey, how's everything? I'm gonna be getting off work soon, and everything. Coming over." So, bam, 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 shots ringing out right down the corner from me. People are running out of the street, so on and so forth, and I drop the phone, and I engage two Asian males running down the street, running towards me, but they're looking behind them and everything like that. Finally, I square off on the one kid. I really don't see the second one, to be honest with you. I see the first one, and I'm like, drop your weapon, blah blah, ordering put it down, and he chucks it. He throws it in where a bunch of garbage pails and garbage bags are, and now I see a second guy running, and I'm like, I can't really make out what the second guy has, whatever. And all of a sudden, I'm like going down. He makes a left, and he's going towards the water, towards South Street, where the old New York Post building used to be. We used to see the Post, the newspaper trucks load up all the time over there. And the first guy is saying, "Hey, there's in English, he's Asian." And he goes, "People shot down there like that." And I'm like, "Yeah, get out of my way!" Get out of my way, and everything like that. And I'm trying to get this guy with the gun and everything. Unbeknownst to me, he's the other shooter, and he gets past me, and people are yelling up out of the window, "Officer, get down," like that. And I'm like, I turn around, and this guy's got a 357 Magnum, and he's drawing up on me, and he unloads 2 rounds at me. One goes crashing through the back window of a parked car, and I just do one of these, like, whoop, dive between the car, and I squeeze one off. I randomly just hit the ground. So run down the block, go down, and one guy's hiding under a car, and I apprehend him. He's the one I saw throw the small little 38 into the garbage pails and everything like that. And I cuff him up, and I bring him out, and a fifth precinct sergeant and his driver pull up, and they like, "Just dump him in the car. We got him. And, the guys around the corner on down by South Street. I turn the corner, and I see this old timer, and he's got this kid cuffed, and he's cuffed to the fence at the basketball court. And he goes, "Are you 126?" I said, "Yes, I am." He goes, "Here's your collar. I was never here," like that. "I just want my cuffs back."
And that was the guy that took the pop at you.
Yeah, that's the one that took the shot at me. And and this guy, the cop that cuffed him's from the 7th. So like I know why he doesn't want to be down there. He's out of his precinct. But a 13 is being called. I'm calling out. I go like this, I just yell, "Shots fired!" I even have the tape recording from the trial and everything like that. To this day, I still play it every now and again. And I'm like, 126, shots fired. And all you hear is 1013, shots fired. 126 is reporting 2 males, Asian, blah blah, pursuit. And it was another one of those high energy. You think it was forever, and it was just a matter of seconds, and it was all over.
Wait, I have 2 questions then. Did you recover the 38? I mean, usually a gun never lands on the ground in New York City.
It did not take the Bronx bounce. It actually was recovered. So
that was originally the Brooklyn bounce, pal.
Yeah. And the 357 was also recovered under a parked car across from where the guy was cuffed to the fence and everything like that.
And was your future wife or girlfriend at the time mad that you just left her hanging there on the phone, or did you make it up to her?
I had to make that one up. Yeah. It was a good. I think I took her out to a nice dinner or something like that and everything. Yeah. So basically, just a quick kudos to Dewey Fong. So I get brought back to the 5th precinct, and I'm processing these 2 guys as a collar and everything like that. And the 5th precinct is like, no. My detective guys are gonna close it out because 3 people are shot and 2 are DOA. One's in the doorway, one dies at the hospital, and the other guy's got a bullet that hit him in the cranium and raced around. There's actually a picture back then from the New York Daily News. The guy's dead in the doorway, exposed for everybody to see. Like they put pictures out back then like that of gruesome crime scenes. Terrible. So Dewey Fong is like, no. He's gonna get the collar, and sure enough, they gave me the homicide collar for 2 people on my badge. It's listed on there that I was the arresting officer. I was the AO on that. The squad took it as closing out the crime and everything like that. And last but not least, I didn't get a combat cross out of it because I was off project. So they gave me a medal of valor for that. So,
Really?
yeah. So no combat cross was even in the discussion because I wasn't on project or anything like that. I think that was one of the major criteria. So off to the left is Joe Keeney and DeForest Taylor, and yeah, they awarded me at the housing headquarters, and then eventually I would go to Medal Day the following year for the shooting and everything like that.
Nice job.
Yeah,
That's nice. Yeah, good. It's not your own time at Medal Day, though, right?
So this is my 2nd medal day, and this is myself and that's Christine Burns. She was my partner. And luck has it, it's my father's birthday, and we're patrolling around, and I'm like, "Hey, Christine," I said, "it's my dad's birthday today. I'm just looking to try to go home early. Let's wrap this up." And we're coming down Houston Street, and she's like, "Yeah, no problem. We're good. Let's fine." And we're just about to get on the FDR Drive, and there's this woman doing like jumping jacks like this. She's like, and I just go like this. I swear to God, I go, vroom, I go past. I'm not lying. And she goes, "John, like, did you like see that?" I'm like, "Yeah, Christine, I saw it." I'm like, put the car in reverse, back up. I'm a little perturbed. I actually hit both windows. Things go down at the same time, and I actually put my arm across Christine. I'm like, "Yeah, can we help you?" Like, and she goes, "You know that building over there? It's on fire!" Like that. And then I'm like, "What building?" Like, and I'm following her finger, and she's like going like this. And there is like 4 windows across, just chugging black smoke on the ground floor. I'm like, "This can't be happening, bro." So I'm like, "Christine, put it over." I'm like, boom. And the first thing I do, park the car right in front of the building. So now I'm like, and there's a photograph of the car dead in front of this building. And of course, like, that's where a fire truck needs to be, I'm not thinking about it because when we first pulled up, I see hands holding a child out a window in a diaper out of the smallest window, which I already know, which is a bank of bathrooms and everything like that. And the wider windows would be your living rooms, and then maybe these windows would be the bedrooms and so on and so forth. This is before they started doing the A's and the B's and locating the banks of apartments from the exterior. So it's the Baruch houses. And yeah, there's smoke just pumping out of the first floor. So I jump up onto the wrought iron fence, and I'm like, "Hey, we're here," because the father winds up falling back in with the child into the bathroom, and I'm like, passing him out, pass him out, like that. I'm here. Never get a response again, but I can still hear children like screaming inside this building, in the back towards the left of the apartment building. So I'm like, I take my PR-24 and I start busting out the top rows of the windows, not low. I break them out high. Maybe I can get some more smoke to come out. I'm not clearing out everything. I just break a couple of panes, and a shard of glass comes out and it rips my hand open. I'm like, oh, what else can go wrong today? You know, jump down. I go into the lobby. People are coming out the staircases. Christine goes, hey, I'm gonna go upstairs and start evacuating people upstairs. I'm like, Christine, absolutely. Just get whoever you see, just bang on every door, get them out, you know, like that, so on and so forth. You can hear the, you know, the popping and the crackling inside this apartment. And I'm like I'm banging on the apartment door and everything. And luck would have it, each building has maintenance people and everything like that. And there was a maintenance guy. He was downstairs in that his work area, and he comes up with a crowbar, like, and he starts working the door and everything with this crowbar. I'm like, thank God, man, you're an angel. I'm turning around and I start mule kicking the door with my foot, and bam, this door just lets go, flings out. The heat and the smoke that came out was incredible. I mean, like my eyebrows, like all the hair started crinkling up, my mustache, and I'm like, whoa. I immediately dropped to the floor. As soon as that heat jumped out, the sprinkler popped right in the lobby. It's like, so now water's drenching down and everything like that. I'm like, I have zero firefighting experience. I know nothing about firefighting. I only seen the movie Towering Inferno and stuff like that, you know? So I'm like, I don't have a wet rag, but I'm just getting soaked. I just feel good just from the water coming down on me, believe it or not. I'm like, all right, this can't be bad, you know? And I make a push. I can still hear people yelling, they're back here, they're back here. So somebody on the outside of the building, by the courtyard of the back of the building, had access to them, but there was a scissor child guard gate going across that they couldn't hand out the kids and everything. So the fire hadn't gotten to them back there yet. So I make a push to go in. I'm like, oof. I dive into the right, and I wind up fumbling in the kitchen, and I'm hands and knees. I'm feeling around. I'm getting blinded by the smoke and everything like that. So I retreat. I get back out into the hallway again. I'm like, this time I'm just underneath it, and I'm like, I bring my vest up to my face and my shirt, and I'm just like, and I run. I'm like, all I know is I see flames to the left of me in the living room. It's like like an entertainment system, and it looks like a couch and everything, and it's ripping over there. And I wind up stepping on an unconscious child. I almost broke his arm, and I reached down and I grabbed this kid. He's about 6 years old, I think it was. So I scooped the kid up, and I'm like, do a full 180, and because now I know exactly where I am, and I start going out. And as I'm going out, I go bang right into a fireman. And the fireman grabs me like this, and he goes, hey, it's a cop, like that. And he passes me off, and the guy goes, hey, it's a cop. And he passes me to the next fireman like that. Like they're like, and I'm like, they're back. The rest of them are back there. They're in the last room. Get out, get out into the hallway. I'm throwing up, and it's like lights out. I'm out. I don't remember anything after that. They load me in an ambulance. They take me up to Bellevue Hospital, and they have me in there, and they do this procedure called blood gases, where they crack your wrist back and they stick this gigunda needle. It's
so much fun.
No exaggeration. This needle's got to be a mile long. It goes into and almost touches my elbow. Like that's how far they go in with this thing. And I'm saying, kill me. Just kill me. I don't want to experience this.
Arterial blood gas.
Yeah. And the numbers are off the chart. And Lee Brown is the commissioner, and he doesn't come because he's down in Houston. I forget who is stepping in for
Brown.
Yeah, Lee Brown, out of town Brown. He was down in Houston, and I guess another higher up just under him comes to the hospital, and Taylor and Keeney and everything, they come to the hospital. They're like what you know. And my numbers are off the chart, and they do a medevac, and they medevac me up to Jacoby Hospital, and they put me in the hyperbaric chamber, and I'm in there for like 14 hours, 14, 15 hours. They bring you up, then they bring you down, then they bring you back down. They purge you with pure oxygen and everything, and they pump out all the gook and everything, like snot coming out my nose and everything like that. It was bad. It was bad. And they kept me overnight, and I was discharged the next morning. My dad, my wife now came, picked me up, and they brought me home back to Staten Island. And the phone was ringing and ringing off the thing. They're like, "Hey, whenever you're ready to come back, you come back. You take as long as you want, whatever, so on and so forth." So I want to say it was Gene Martin. Like, it was like, "Hey, just relax, take it easy, so on and so forth." And there's Metal Day, and some really, really great bosses made this happen. Like, no, like very rare you get called in and you take a picture with the mayor in his room and everything like that. And that was a special moment. It meant a lot to me and my family. So, and yeah, my youngest daughter Rosa, my sister Nina, my daughter Anna, my dad Jacqueline, and my wife. Yeah. So I mean, when you look at things, when you look back at it, it worked out in the end. So I mean, I wasn't trying to be. It's from so Ron, you can relate 100%. Like, it's just tough to stand back and wait when you hear kids screaming inside that apartment building. Like, it's game on. Like, I'm gonna take that. The risk did outweigh the reward for me in that moment. So I was like,
Well,
I was willing.
you're not thinking about any reward at that point.
No,
You
no,
know,
no. But
Yeah.
like, you
I know
always
what
hear
you're
that.
saying.
You always hear that saying, like, "Did you think it was worth it?" Blah 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 blah. Maybe the fireman could have got there, whatever. Maybe we don't know. Like,
Hey, Rob's got the experience. Rob was a volunteer firefighter before he got on, so
yeah.
he knows how dangerous it is. He can relate to what you're going through a lot more than me, because I never listen. I never fought a fire. I was involved in a couple of jobs, but I always gave kudos, and I know we'll talk about it a little bit later with the ESU versus FD,
So
rivalry or whatever. But I always give all the kudos, because fire scares the shit out of me.
100%. It's a different animal. It's definitely there. It is apples and oranges, and it's definitely a different field and everything like that, for sure. But
I mean,
So
what you did was heroic. I mean, you got to think about a fireman. We used to self-contained breathing apparatus, right? So you
right,
have a mask on and everything else, all the fire gear, right? All
right,
fire repellent and stuff. Even Nomex hoods they wear now. So I mean,
right.
what you did, I mean, is definitely heroic, without a doubt. I mean, you look at the two poor housing cops that died out in the
In Coney Island,
Coney Island, right? They went into an elevator,
horrible,
and so I mean,
horrible,
yeah. So I mean,
horrible.
absolutely.
I could definitely relate. Like, I
yeah.
can understand, like, how they felt. Like, it was. I, I would never want to be put in that position again without any protective gear whatsoever, and
Right.
none whatsoever. But so this is now my second one back to back, going for Metal Day and everything like that. And Gene Martin meets me at the door my first day back, and says something to the effect of, who's that, Audie Murphy. He goes, "Hey, Audie Murphy's in the house," like that. He goes like this, he goes, "What are we gonna do today, John?" Like that. I'm like, "Whatever you say, Lieutenant." Whatever you say.
So you had a very eventful early career, and God bless you. Going out there and doing what you had to do, getting involved on development, off development. Like you said, you didn't get a combat cross because it didn't happen on development, which is total BS. But bring us to the point. We're almost an hour in. Bring us to the point where now they're starting to form up this housing emergency.
This was definitely the thing. So, like, Joe,
Wait, I just have a
Keane.
question real quick.
Yeah.
As a police officer in housing, did you ever get a CD? Did you ever get in any trouble? Was there a supervisor that you really thought was a real piece of crap? And
So I got minor violations log for coming into work several times, not on time, and it happened 3 days in a row, and it was and he said, just so you know, if you do it again, I'm gonna have to give you one like that. And I adjusted my time and I started coming in on time all the time. So I was a good boy after that. Um, I didn't make the collar. My partner made the collar at the time. We captured a guy up on Avenue D. Um, uh, it was criminal trust, weeds, this, that, so on and so forth. And now we do the online booking, and I'm transporting him and his prisoner down to CB, and we get down there, and the
Central booking to those.
yep, central booking, Manhattan Central Booking, and the intake processing court officer goes takes his pack of Marlboros out and he peels back the aluminum foil and there's 3 more marijuana cigarettes inside in the pack. And I'm like, he's like, what are we doing with this guy? And like, what's going on? I'm like the F-bomb. I'm like, it's not my perp. I didn't do it. I didn't do the search, whatever. I'm like, but we're a team. You know, we did it. You know, we didn't cross all the T's and dot the I's. So I'm like, so I'm saying to the other guy at the time, like, you want to put the added charge on, or like, what are we doing? And he's like, yeah, we'll do that. So I'm like, all right, I'll bring it back. I'll do the online booking over there, and I'll come back with the paperwork. We'll add the charge, so on and so forth. So we do that. I voucher the 3 marijuana cigarettes. Put that on a separate voucher. Run the paperwork back down to him. We come back and Captain Wickerwich is waiting for us.
Wickerwich, one of the Wickerwich brothers.
Oh my God. Oh my God. He went up and down each of us, and I got a day. I got 1 day. I think my partner got 3. And I was like, but you know what? It was deserved. I was not upset about it. I was just mad that I didn't catch it or whatever. It happens, but like you can't get mad over stupid little stuff like that. Was it called for? Maybe it could have been handled better. Absolutely. We always say that in hindsight. Maybe do this or so on and so forth. But in the end, no, it's fine.
So you think just, and I mean, your relationship with bosses, we're going to get into a little bit later, was a little bit different with the NYPD because you were in emergency services, but you think that the bosses were relatively fair in housing?
Sure.
And supportive, but it was also the early 90s. So,
without a doubt. I came across a couple of bosses, and I was like, how did they even get here? Like they must have been great test takers, but they couldn't apply the logic like behind some of the things. I did come across a couple of those guys, and and you're scratching your head like, damn, like if he can do it, maybe I could do it. But I didn't have the credits. I never pursued going that route and everything like that. I just loved
housing was a different job. I mean, housing, the bosses were better. I think transit, the same thing. I remember when I was a sergeant in the 2-5, and it was on New Year's Eve, and one of the housing guys had a discharge, and I rolled up because it came over as 8513, and I roll up, and I was like, "Oh, is your sergeant coming?" He goes, "No, all our sergeants are off tonight. We're here by ourselves." I go, really?
Yeah. It's amazing. It was great. I honestly, and that's why I said I loved it, and I would never have been for the merge, but this fire event afforded me an opportunity, and I'm approached by Keeney, and he's like, "Hey, listen, we're gonna start an ESU unit." And he goes, "Would you be interested?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah!" And he goes, "All right."
Prior to this, when you needed emergency, there was NYPD emergency would come then? right?
Yeah, I would prefer and not because I was, with the merge. I always preferred having the emergency guys come before a firefighter came to housing projects. These guys were bulls in china shops.
Yeah.
They would blow doors off hinges. Now I got to stay on an open apartment.
Yeah.
They're busting out this, that, they didn't care. They got the job done, but they didn't think about us like that. Now you just screwed a cop that's got to sit here until maintenance comes and fixes your
Right.
shoddiness, like that. So not to bash the fire department. They just, yeah, did they have a mission to do? They did it, but they absolutely destroyed everything they touched. It was horrible. It was bad. But that's where we came in when we became a housing emergency. Trust me, those fire department calls went down low, low, low. We
Right.
became really good lock pickers. We knew how to finesse the door. We could re-secure the apartment. The old shoelace pulled lock back down, maybe find the people's keys and give them to the person when we get them in the bus, the one that's stuck between the toilet and the wall and everything like that. We were not like, we knew we had time. Obviously, if it's a gas leak or there's a fire in there, we're going to call the fire department. But all the non-nonsense elevators, they would wreck them to the point they had to shut them down. And now these people got to walk up
Yeah.
for weeks before that elevator's back in service. Like, they didn't care. Like, that. Again, I'm not a fireman basher. They just did what they were told to do, but they did not take into consideration of what these people had to deal with after their wrecking ball came through. It's crazy. Yeah.
So what was the training like when they implemented the housing emergency rescue?
We had it all. Everybody wanted to teach us except for the NYPD. That's a fact. That was a fact. Transit reached out first. We went to a lot of classes that the maintenance guys went to. So like we learned how to deal with the boiler system. We knew where to shut off valves if a pipe broke in the building and everything like that without disrupting the rest of the water flow to the apartments. We would go to elevator classes, this, that, and the other. We got Hearst tools, and Hearst actually sent a couple of us to go to their class out in Pennsylvania, and I was fortunate. I was one of them, and I loved it. I spent like 4 days out there learning the history behind Hearst and everything like that. It was amazing. And then we self-taught inside, and they had instructors come out to us and do that stuff. Ropes was crazy. Like everybody, we were doing all the high angle rope repelling off these buildings. I mean, on our graduation day, I didn't do it because we all couldn't do it on the graduation day, but we had like 12 guys picked out to repel 15 stories off the Alfred E. Smith house, like all the way from the roof all the way to the ground. That rope is heavy. And let me tell you something, when you try to pick that rope up, you don't understand the weight of that rope from 15 stories of it. It's crazy. We didn't have helmets back then, like bridge climb.
What year was this that they instituted?
94, 93, 94 was all the training. And then
And it was 96.
no, 94, late 94, November 94, I wind up in a housing uniform going to 5 truck. So I was there, but I wasn't there yet. So we had housing guys in an NYPD car, housing rescue guys. And we did that.
So housing rescue pretty much merged before the merge.
It did. It was already starting. It was already, like, they knew the writing was on the wall and everything like that. They knew it. We already went to Glocks. Like everybody had a Glock. Nobody had a SIG. Nobody had the Smith & Wesson. Like Owen McCaffrey, Ralph Pasculo, all the bosses, they all sat down and said, we're getting one gun and one gun only. So that way, if we get in trouble, we can interchange our mags. And like, we were already thinking like that. We're like, well, nobody's getting this one and that one and blah, 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 blah. And we wound up getting the Triticon night sights put on all of our guns. Like we could see in the dark and everything. Like we
Yeah, we
had
gotta pay
great,
extra for that on our guns.
we had great great
Yeah.
bosses that were actually doing their homework, saying, listen, this is how it's going to go, and so on and so forth. So we were trying to, in a sense, leapfrog and maybe catch up or maybe surpass Port Authority. I remember going over to the air crash rescue classes and everything like that. And then we even in the World Trade Center, we were doing, the blind shaft repelling and everything. You could feel the gush of wind inside when you're in that old Tower 1. Crazy, like all that stuff. How to breach a wall, which, I never did it, but we did. Housing Rescue did it just before the merge on the air rights buildings. I want to say it was Scott Zink and four guys, and yeah, they wound up breaching the wall. The firemen like boggled. They're like, what do you mean? We know where the car is, like, because we couldn't like take the other car and just come up next to it and then try to traverse and then bring people across and bridge it. No, we Housing Rescue breached the wall, and we broke the door and we pulled people out on the 26th floor over in the Bronx over the air rights buildings and everything like that. That car was overloaded. I think there were like 20 some odd passengers on that car when it could only fit like 8 people. It was insane, like a can of sardines and stuff like that. Yeah.
So how would you say, how was the integration? Like, how were you treated? I mean, Truck 5, a little. I think that might be a little bit different because a lot of homegrown, all Staten Island guys. You have a lot more in common. You probably knew a lot of those guys from your day back on on the ambulances.
I mean, we're talking Bob Hackius,
Bobby,
Brian Hearn. He winds up going to the bomb squad and everything. I encountered some of these guys prior to Billy Amenaros. Yeah. I mean, these guys, Ducky Burrill. I mean, these guys are like those are the legends of Staten Island, those guys and everything like that. And like you could see a little bit. It wasn't total open arms in the beginning, of course not. It was a slow integration and where we came from, because you know what it was. It's not a fast pace in Staten Island. It's not like the other the other 4 boroughs. It's not like that. But when something goes bad in Staten Island, it goes really, really bad. You know that, Ron. I mean, like, no job is easy on Staten Island. When it's a big one, it goes big. It's incredible. But it doesn't happen often. It's not every single day. It's not like the Bronx. It's not like Brooklyn. It's not like people are dying every single day or anything like that. There's the Moose. Yeah. So Moose winds up becoming my first partner on 5 Truck. I had my first steady partner, and he's like, "Hey, why don't you come up to Midnights? We're a little busy on the late tours. Like we get to do a little bit more and stuff like." We were getting pin jobs like crazy. We would knock it out of the park and everything like that. I mean, obviously, if we're one part of the island to get all the way down to Tottenville, we're not beating the fire department. But but when we got there, half the job was over by the time the fire department came. So we were doing good stuff out there. For us, it was a lot of jumpers, Verrazano, the Bayonne Bridge, even the pier going out by the Staten Island Ferry. We would encounter EDPs that just want to kill themselves all the time out there. Yeah, it was wild. So,
and how did you go for any additional training?
So yes, so in the transitioning. Yep, there it is. So the transitioning from Housing Rescue to the NYPD, that's the only thing we were not trained on, was long guns and tactical entries and stuff like that. We weren't executing warrants. It didn't get to that phase. We were getting there. I'll be honest with you, Janine Pirro, not Janine, it was but Pinero was the HUD chancellor of the Housing Authority. We were going to get a helicopter. We were going to get a helicopter before the fire department was going to get a helicopter, because housing is federally funded. Like, all the money came from the federal government. We were getting stuff left and right. And then when we became accredited and we changed from the orange and the blues to the white cars, and then we we did the cells this way and with the locks and this lock and so on and so forth. We had to fit certain federal guidelines, and we were getting mad money coming in for any equipment we wanted, anything. It was coming. 5-truck day, climbing the VZ. No helmet, no fear. That's what I say. That, like, those days are over. Like, you'll never climb a bridge again like that, right, Rob?
Me, no. I mean, the first day I pulled up there when I was going to climb it, I said, why am I climbing this thing? And then once I was up there, it was great though. I mean, I don't know how many times I climbed it, but yeah, but I did always wear a helmet though.
Yeah. I was invited, never took him up on the invite.
So some of the legends in 5-truck, they would bring golf balls and smack golf balls off the top of the bridge into the bay. Aviation would swing around. They take pictures of us. You know, we'd have breakfast up there sometimes or whatever, or you know, just to take a group photo, and you know, of course, a couple of guests, but never a fireman. Not one fireman has ever been up on the top of that.
Hey,
that
did
bridge.
you? I watched an interview with Carrick when he was the PC.
Yeah,
Well, it was after he was the PC, but he was talking about when he was the PC and he was invited up.
that was the Brooklyn Bridge.
Brooklyn Bridge, right? And he said the guys used to
Vigiano.
bring lunch.
Yeah, Vigiano.
Yes, he was talking about Joe Vigiano, right? Exactly.
Vigiano broke his chops and says, "Hey," and somebody had to carry it up there, and they put the spread out up there. That was insane.
And then we have Jack Stern is with the Finest Unfiltered. Asking if you remember Chris Hoban.
So Christopher Hoban, I don't. I know his story. I don't know him, but I was not around when that had happened and everything like that. No, for sure.
Hey, John, with the FDNY in Staten Island, I mean, you guys got along a lot better than the other boroughs because I can remember,
100%.
you know, because I think most firemen and cops knew each other. They were neighbors or whatever out in Staten Island. Because when I first came a captain and I went out, it wasn't usually Lower Manhattan was the problem, right? Truck 1 was the problem.
I think everything.
Truck 10, right?
Yeah.
But Staten Island seemed to always work together. I mean, I don't know.
Staten Island did work together very well, and I'll even say even in the Bronx, I hardly ever butted heads with a firefighter up in the Bronx and so on and so forth. But yeah, Staten Island is its own animal, its own entity, its own environment. And the 4 years that I was there, it was a pleasure. There was no. It's first come, first serve in a sense, you know, like you're there, you know, or you got that side of the car, I got this side of the car, well,
Right.
so on and so forth. I mean, there's so many stories that it worked out fine. It worked out fine out there. There was nothing like that, all right, for sure.
So, before we get into some more of your you know, quote unquote war stories with emergency, which are great stories to hear. And we'll move up in your career a little bit. But just from the executive perspective,
Sure.
The difference you felt from, and again, it's tough, I guess, because like, again, we talked about the difference in how the housing bosses treated housing cops as opposed to what we, the city bosses might have been a little bit different. They weren't as close with the cops and everything else. But how do you feel the treatment was as opposed to being a patrol cop and an E-man?
So the patrol cop aspect of it is, they want you like to follow my lead. This is how we do things, so on and so forth. Do it like this. This is how we're gonna. I mean, so the numbers game, I need, X amount of summonses for this or that or whatever, like that part of it, it's understood. You get it, but in the emergency side, it's a game changer because when you get bosses being pulled into this unit, they're thinkers. They're problem solvers, just like we are. But they got your back in a sense. Like once we come up with the plan, once it's executed, we get a chance to critique everything that we've done after every job. I mean, these are things that you don't do on patrol. Like this is stuff. This is different field in a sense. Like nobody's gonna come in patrol. They're gonna say, "Hey, you locked up that guy really, really good today. Like you went by the numbers. You did it like this, or you treated him with kid gloves or anything like that." That's not what's happening in patrol or anything like that. They're not critiquing what went wrong, or how it could have went better, or what's the solution to the problem, or we're never going to do that again. In emergency, I can honestly say it's more, like if you're getting called up as a boss and a lieutenant, it's because you've already been in the cop. Most of those bosses are brought up back into the unit. They're going to do a little time back on patrol. They're going to learn the desk, and they're going to learn how to do this. But eventually their skills are brought back because now they know the leadership role of what these other guys are coming in behind. And then when you get guys like Rob, captains, inspectors, and so on and so forth up there, like when it's a big job, multi-agency, you really have to put people in their lane in a sense. Once the rescue part of it is over, now it becomes an investigative thing. So like we need to like get everything back condensed and start preserving evidence, or this or that, or so on so forth. Like not to say to cut people out, but you just, once one mission's been accomplished, maybe we can start peeling back and not have as many people in here. You don't want it too crowded in the kitchen, as they always say. Because you can ruin stuff.
Yeah, I always say, Rob talks about it all the time, about the hot wash after a big job on the back of the truck. And it's
100%.
one thing that's really, commendable is like you said, it's not just about stroking somebody. Hey, you did a great job. And because I was always big for, giving praise and acknowledging great work throughout my career as a boss. But it's, I think, more important sometimes that you have to acknowledge when mistakes were made. And where I see the big difference is with emergency, people aren't taking it personal when you're talking about that. You're taking it as a learning moment so that it doesn't repeat itself and somebody doesn't get hurt the next time.
100%, Ron. So, but there's a method to the madness, as they say. Sometimes you beat them up in the beginning, and then you start saying, even though it was horrible, but this is what went right. Like you always have to end on the happy note in a sense. Don't just like, hey, just zoom, and just lambash them to the point where it leaves a sour taste in their mouth, because they're not going to produce for you anymore. Like these officers are going to like, screw him, I'm not doing another thing ever, and they'll become an empty suit or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, yeah,
so
you don't see that. But I don't see, you don't see that in emergency. What I'm saying is with an emergency, I'm talking about. I think it should happen more on patrol. I think the platoon commander, the patrol supervisor should be talking about things back in the muster room or whatever the case may be, about things like that in a positive way.
Yes.
It's a teaching moment. It's a learning moment. Yeah, I'm not talking about beating people up. I'm not about beating people up. And what Rob always emphasizes is that after the job, they get behind the truck and they go over it. And it was part of the routine. And that's part of the professionalism of
without a doubt. Without a doubt. And trust me, if you're not making mistakes, you're not learning, period, no matter what. I mean, I can honestly tell you, like there were a couple jobs, like I'm gonna touch on it, like the Gerard Carter job.
Yeah, I was gonna. All right, you want to go into that? And I'll ask you the other question after, but yeah.
Yeah. So Gerard Carter winds up getting shot and killed in a van in a housing project in Staten Island, '98. I'm steady late tours with Mark Musarella, and we always come in a little early. We always have a cup of coffee. We want to catch up on what's happened during the 4 to 12s, because we're rolling into the late tours, this, that, and the other thing. And we're getting information that an officer has been shot and he's in critical condition. He's been transported to St. Vincent's Hospital. And so we suit up and we go out they send us out a little early. They put us on the clock a little bit early, and we start heading down to the Castleton houses. And right now it's just evidentiary, this, that, and the other thing, so on and so forth. And the other guys are coming back, so on and so because their tour is ending. So there was no active perp search at this time. The perp had fled. He's in the wind, so on and so forth. So the 120 squad, the housing bureau detectives, and all that, they're all shaking the trees, trying to find out where this bad guy Shatik Johnson is and everything like that. So we things are already taped off. We're still doing secondary searches to see maybe if a round went into a tree or something like that, so on and so forth. Now we're starting to get information. Perp might be at his girlfriend's house on Alaska Street. 6 truck gets called over. I think even Adam 8 comes over and this, that, and the other thing. And now it's like 1, 2 in the morning. Now we're hitting doors. We're banging doors down. We're going, like, the hunt is on for the bad guy. Dead end number 2, dead end number 3. So I think it's like 6:30-ish, and we get him. We get him. He's cornered in an apartment building within the complex at another relative's house, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Hey, John, just want you to know, Gisette Carter Williams is on and in the comments and saying thank you for this.
No, so I mean, and I just shout out to her too. Thank you so much for running for city council in Staten Island, because you're gonna get it, and you're gonna have a good seat over there, and you're gonna be a voice for your husband. And this madness has to end in the city with all this revolving door system. It's terrible. I never met your husband. I never knew your husband, but we knew we were gonna get this guy, and we're lined up on the door of the bedroom, and we bring the RMI. He's held up in a closet, and he's armed. He's got his pistol in there, semi-automatic.
Just explain to the audience what an RMI is.
Yeah, it's a rolling ballistic shield. It's got like 4 little wheels. It's panels that are layered up, and at the top there's like a viewport that we can see in. On the bottom, we're able to like slowly, gingerly lift up, and we can manipulate. But it's mostly ballistic protection in the room. So the door, we have control of the door. The door's tied off to this closet. He's in there. He's making ridiculous demands. It's not going to happen. And we have a great boss from 6 Truckers over there. And so it's going into hours. You know, it's just saying, hey, give up the gun. We can get you out safely. We're going to do this. We're going to do that, so on and so forth. And finally, he's just about at the point where he's like, all right, I just want a cigarette. They always want a cigarette. So like now we're like, do we give him a lit cigarette? Is he gonna take the cigarette and try to burn himself alive in the thing? So we lift up the bottom panel and we sawzall the door, and we make a port, and we roll a lit cigarette in there and everything like that. And now we're like, and all of a sudden in the background, you hear somebody yell out, I want him alive, like that. And all I can remember is like everybody, all the ESU guys' eyes are lighting up, like, who said that? And somebody yells out, who said that? I don't care if you're this rank, whatever, I'll have you thrown off the floor, get out. We're negotiating a deal here. We're trying to get this guy out, so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. Like, it was the most absurd comment, like in the middle of this whole thing. Like, what's going on here? So finally, like later on, we find out it's a chief that says it. And it's like, figures, you know. But he's way in a different room, so he doesn't need ballistic protection, but he's just listening and trying to feel the whole thing going down and everything like that. Finally, we get to a point, the guy's got the cigarette, he goes, okay, no problem. So now we're slowly rolling the ballistic shield back. The door opens up, and a well-respected boss decides he's going to just do a quick peek into the closet. A no-no, like, you don't do that. But it happened, and he went like this, and the perp punches the gun out, and the gun does not discharge. But we pull him back quickly too. At the same time, somebody yells gun, and the designated shooter can't get a shot up because the good guy's head is in the way, and boom, we shut the door and we close and we slam the RMI back up against the door, and here we are starting all over again. Just like when you think you got it, you don't got it. So another hour or so goes by, and so on and so forth, and finally we get him out, and he faced justice and so on and so forth. And I mean, I know in 2023 he was up for parole and everything like that, and so on and so forth. But like this, you kill a cop. You kill a cop. You should never see the light of day again.
Right.
It's insane.
Well, not to get political, but this is one of the important things. We have a horrible New York State parole board who have released too many cop killers.
Yep.
That
just recently, the Eddie Byrne guy.
Right. Just put in place by Andrew Cuomo. So we got to keep that in our mind, and it doesn't go without notice. And I think it's very important that when these killers, these murderers, these animals come up for parole, that we all have a responsibility and a duty, like we say in the NYPD, right? We never forget. But it's not just, every time we speak, we're keeping the people and their memories alive. Every time we speak of someone and we tell the stories. But we got to remember that it's our responsibility that when those emails start going out and those text messages and groups go out to all us retired cops, active cops, that we have to contact our elected officials and let them know that we are against the release.
Yeah, without a doubt.
You can't be complacent and think it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
You have to sign those petitions. You have to let your elected officials know.
100%. But so, I mean, yeah, that I mean, again, like the aspect of bosses and stuff like that, you're gonna run into run into certain situations, and you know what? In the long run, there was a slight mistake, and this is just my opinion. In my view, if there was a slight mistake made, but guess what? That mistake probably saved the perp's life, believe it or not, in a sense. So, so I mean, it's irony in a sense, but all in all, happy outcome. Nobody got hurt, nobody got injured. The perp is in custody, so on and so forth. So, in my eyes, it was successful, and it was something that was brought to a
Rob,
great end.
We've talked about this on several occasions. What are your thoughts about that chief that was there interjecting on the operations of the emergency services and hostage negotiations team that were in talks or just in operation? There was a tactical operation going on at that location for a known cop killer. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that from a chief's perspective. Also, we've talked about it, but
yeah, I mean, that was the reason why I think. Well, there was two reasons why I think Camadana and Steve Bonanno, God rest his soul, wanted captains in ESU. I think there was only one captain at the time, and Jin Yi, and he was the XO at the time. So they wanted to put more captains in for the SOD duty. And two of the things we were there to do. One was to make sure that the ESU guys didn't fight with the firemen and kind of get in between them, so there was no fighting.
Yeah.
And two, to make sure that the people that are on the floor where the incidents happen are the people that are supposed to be on the floor. And
Right.
my job was, and I remember like O'Neill when he was a duty chief, taking him and saying, "Chief, come down. We're going to go down one set of stairs, and we'll stay down here." And I would stay with them because they would always try to gravitate to the door, right, John? They would always be like, "What's going on?" They
just needed to put their little 2 cents in or whatever.
They always wanted to be in the front. You don't have to be. I'll tell you everything that's going on. Just come down here. I mean, I let the ESU guys do what they have to do. And I can remember when I was the duty chief one time, and I came up on the floor, and I didn't put on my heavy vest or anything. I had my 8-point hat on, and
Yep.
I'm talking to one of the guys on the floor, and I'm loud. And all the ESU guys, I guess maybe they didn't recognize it, maybe they did. They're like, "Shut the hell up! Shut the hell up!"
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? You're right. And I went downstairs, and then Mike McKenna from Truck 9, a sergeant from Truck 9, comes over to me. He goes, "Chief, I'm so sorry." I go, "Mike, don't be sorry. Those ESU guys were 100% right. I should have been talking. They're listening at the door. They're trying to engage in a conversation. And you have these idiot chiefs and inspectors and captains that all want to put I can remember Joanne Jaffe screaming like, "I'm going to negotiate." No, you're not. You don't even know what you don't have any skills you're going to negotiate.
Zero. That's the whole thing. Exactly. Zero skills. You absolutely, because unless you've been there or you've got the training, and you shouldn't even, not
No.
even in the equation.
Yeah.
Zero.
John,
You know what I wanted to do, John? I wanted to set up a poll camera and live feed it down to a temporary headquarters vehicle and bring all those chiefs and captains and stuff that shouldn't be on the floor. Here, you can watch it live down here.
And they could have ate popcorn. They could have ate popcorn, and they would have had the front row view of everything.
Right, exactly.
And we might even have got one of these, like it's crazy. Like it's nuts.
John, just do me a favor, just check your text message real quick. I just sent you a message real quick. But yeah, I'm going to agree 100%. And I've talked about this for myself, where I've been on the scene and I've arrived as a duty inspector or the CO of the precinct or whatever the case may be. And I've been thrown off the floor. And I'm like, "Sorry, guys," and exit stage left,
Yeah.
It's not personal, it's not personal.
100%. Listen, man, I've always, I don't walk around, I'm Inspector Hear Me Roar. You guys are the experts. You guys are the ones that are in tactical position right now. You need to do your job. I need to give you the space. I need to give you whatever resources I can give you. What do you need me to do? You need me to, you need me to secure the ends of the hallway to keep everybody else off the floor. You need me to secure outside, whatever the case may be. Tell me what I can do for you.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm still talking about 5-truck days, and I haven't even gotten to 3-truck. I mean, 3-truck.
Yeah, listen,
3-truck was
even before we move on to 3-truck though. I mean, this was a rough 8 months for you actually, because 7 months later, it was another.
So just real quick, and another senseless loss of a police officer, and it happens on Valentine's Day morning on the West Shore Expressway and the Richmond and the jug handle that connects to the Richmond Parkway. And luck has it, me and Mark Musarella were together again, and we're out on Arthur Kill Road, Richmond Avenue, by the mall, or right by that mobile gas station where the buses gather up and stuff like that. And we get a call for a pin job on the West Shore Expressway. It's an overturned tractor trailer, so on and so forth. And the 123, actually, there's only one highway car dispatched out that night. Felix Torres and I think Gilboy they were only 2 highway cops that night. And me and Mark, so we're truck only, but we decide we're going to load up the Adam car so we can just get to the job. I hate racing around in a big truck full of guns and everything. So we each put an MP5 in the little car with us, just in case something. We'll call in the troops from Brooklyn if we get a job and stuff like that. So 123 arrives first. It's Matthew Dijkowski and his partner Godfrey, and they're like, "Hey, just so you know, we're on scene, confirmed overturned tractor trailer, but it appears the driver's out." So and we're less than a mile away, so we cool it down, slowing down. We're going to continue in, just see maybe what's going on. So we get up there, and Maddie's there was like little pre-construction going on previously, so they're putting out barrels, cones, they're lighting flares, and they're diverting all the traffic off down to the outer bridge crossing. Another 123 unit comes up there. For the life of me, I can't remember the two guys, but they're in a Jeep Cherokee. So now that They actually came up with coffee that night. So Matt Dichikowski's car is facing oncoming traffic and the Jeep Cherokee, and they're door to door, and they're handing coffee between, and they're talking shop, you know, every day. This is something that we do all the time. Nothing out of the normal. Me and Mark are down by the overturned tractor trailer. We're helping this heavy duty tow company out there. So we break out the chainsaw and we start cutting down some trees and everything that he plowed in. He rolled over on top of and tangled up in the guardrail a little bit. So we had put ourselves back out on the job, just assisting the tow company and so on and so forth. So next thing you know, the tow truck's like cinching up on the chains and they're just about starting to upright the vehicle. All of a sudden you hear kabang, like kaboom. And Felix Torres is like, it's them, it's back there. You know, the RMP. I'm like, we jump in the truck, do a Huey, we fly up to the highway, and the cars are like a bomb went off. Like there's pieces everywhere. This guy in a red Dodge Durango barrels through over 80 miles per hour head on into these guys. And they Matthew Dichikowski is the driver. He manages to, like, from their statements, like he's like, they were like saying, he even said like it's coming. Like he looked out and he just pulls down on the gear shifter on the column. And if I remember, it was like in D1, like he just ripped it all the way down and he punched the gas pedal and he gets the car to turn ever so slightly. He saves his partner and he takes the full brunt. The truck comes up the left front quarter panel and it drives up into the 8-post and it rushes into his face, snaps the seat back, and he's in the back seat. And he's in super bad shape. He's still alive, but he's not doing good at all. We pull up, we make a decision, me and Mark, and we see Godfrey at the door, and we jack the passenger door off, and we get Godfrey out. The other two cops and the other RMP, that we lay him on his back and they're tending to him. He's got multiple fractures in his chest. His cheek is like puffed out. His eyes already welded closed. He's a bloody mess. So me and Mark make a decision, like we start going working the roof. We start going because the door is hammered onto. This is not your basic like pin job. I mean, he's trapped in this car. And we wind up peeling the roof back, and just as it's happening, the fire department comes up, and they only send an engine company because they think it's a repeat call from the first overturned tractor trailer. The ladder company never comes. So these guys are like, "Oh crap! Like, what can we do?" I'm like, "Just pull on the roof!" Like, and we're clipping, yanking it back, and I know I can't work the door, so I jump in between, and Mark starts doing medical treatment. He starts putting an OPA in and starts oxygen on him and everything like that. And I jam the jaws right down onto the transmission hub, and I smash it into the dashboard, and I start working the tool up right under the steering column, and I get it to come up just enough. You don't need too much. Slid the board in, and we pull him out and get him onto the ground, and he's going out of the picture. That's all I can say. It's not a good scene. He's still like struggling and so on and so forth. I had put over confirmed RMP accident. I said, officer down, this, that, and the other thing. And I remember Adam 6 saying, we're heading over the fire truck, like they're coming over the bridge. I was like, and when I assessed it, I was like, start out aviation. I was like probably one of my first transmission. So I was like, start aviation out in case we got to get, there's not a hospital nearby. Like, just get a helicopter out here. And they did. The aviation came. They dipped down. They landed on the highway. And there was a little conflict on there. Like, do we try to get them to the and some of the EMS personnel was like, get them on the bird, just get them on the bird, put them up there. And they flew him out to 23rd Street and heliport, and they wound up taking him to Bellevue, and he's pronounced within an hour after he's brought over there. But I'm like saying to myself, like, where does where does that come from? Like, where did he get that, like that feeling to like throw himself out into that direction? Because honestly, I mean, I'm not saying I could have been killed or anything like that, but had that truck gotten through, I'm sure it may have hit us down there, or even the tow company or whatever, so on and so forth. But like, he's posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor, and deservedly so. That like, this is one of the ones where you say he definitely put his life out for his fellow officer, his partner, even me and Mark. Like, he's thought of often, like that's the one that, because in the back of my mind, when we were working on it, I remember one of the 123 cops going like, "Hey, maybe you can step it up a little bit. His wife's ready to have a second baby any day now, like, and like, I need that, like, I need even that more pressure on me or anything like that." I'm like, "Guy, we got this. We're doing the best we can. We don't wanna cause any more damage to him than already it's done. There's, like, I knew I was in control, but it wasn't in a sense, because like, I keep running it through my mind, and I know Mark probably does too. Is like, what could have we done more, or what could have we done better? And the result is always the same. There's nothing that we probably could have done. It's fate, and it's just, you know, the hand we were dealt. And for him, I say thank you all the time. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think so, John, something like that, your training kicks in, because whatever, you had extensive training, you knew what you're doing, obviously, so anything that you did that day was the best and could be expected from you. So I wouldn't, I know it's not easy, especially having an MOS right there. I did have a job. I mean, I won't go into it in the
Yeah,
4-4,
no,
but the poor guy was stabbed to death, Detective Bentoncourt. But
sure.
anyway, when a cop dies in front of you like that, I totally understand how bad it is, but you do second guess it. But I know you, and I know that all your training that you've been through, and you've done everything that you could do. You did the best you could do at the time. So I mean, it's a tragic situation.
You know what it is, Rob, too, though? I mean, and I'm sure you can relate because of the emergency side, because we do it for the everyday civilian, and we get great success out of it all the time. I mean, yeah, do we lose? We lose a lot of people too, but I mean, it's like, we've done CPR on people before. We've done this, we've done major pins, tragedies, so on and so forth, every day in, day out. But now it's one of our own. Like that. That's the kicker. That's the kicker
Yeah.
that
Well,
always.
I can tell you, to be perfectly honest, if I was in a pin,
Yeah.
you and Moose would be the two guys I would want taking me out, bro. That would be it. So
Yeah, and Moose is commenting too, just to get it in, because I don't know if you have glasses. I still have nightmares about this terrible. In my arms, he passes away.
Yeah.
So yeah, people often forget the human side of policing,
Yeah.
and that we are human, and that a lot of times we block out, and we have this mental block of you know the blood and the guts and the gore that we've seen, the tragedies that we've seen, the homicides, the shootings. And I used to say it all the time on the scenes, because guys would be standing around on a crime scene over a bloody sheet that somebody's family member is under, and they're just yucking it up because to them it's just another job.
Right.
But it's not. But
Yeah.
that's just a defense mechanism that we have, and that
Yeah. The dark,
in
that
some
dark humor or
instances,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah, and in some instances, it's not
It's not
possible.
appropriate.
It's not appropriate. But what I'm saying is, when it comes to things like this job that you handled, the job that Rob is discussing that he handled up in the 4-4, it's just not. It's not. It takes you. There's no dark humor that can get you through it. There's
Right.
no, you know, there's no shielding it.
Yeah.
And people forget that you're human, and they're like, oh, well, but this is what you sign up for. Nobody
Yep.
signs up for this.
Nobody signs up for that.
So God
Everybody
bless
wants
him.
to go. Basically, everybody wants to go home.
Yeah,
Yeah, 100%.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So
You know,
99, shortly thereafter that incident, I make the move to Rockland County, take my family up there and everything like that, and I transfer the 3 truck. And it's like, wow, this is not Staten Island. The first night I'm out with Walter Sahaj, and we get called out like for a pin job, I think that night. I want to say there was a double homicide down in Hunts Point at one of the strip joints. There was a major shooting down over there.
so
Um,
just to explain to those, because we do have non-police, non-NYPD viewers. So
yeah,
a pin job, just
it's
give
a
them the
motor
explanation
vehicle
of a pin job.
motor vehicle accident with entrapment, and most of the times it's just an easy door pop, but that one wasn't. That one was horrible. That one I can honestly tell you was Billy Falk's first pin job right there. So right after, literally days after 9/11, this is the Cross Bronx Expressway, just past Westchester Square, heading towards the Throgs Neck Bridge. And the tanker truck breaks down, and the guy doesn't even get a chance to put the triangles out, and this box truck just plows into it. The guy's in the passenger seat. He's crushed. Yeah. And the gear shifter comes up and impales him right through his thigh and comes out by his groin, and he's bleeding out. He's impaled on the thing. We jack the door off. We cut the A-post. We get a spread just enough, and I wind up clipping gear shifter just below it, and we load him into a hospital. They take him to Jacoby Hospital with a piece of the vehicle through his leg, like it's a knife going through there. And the guy survived. The driver survived. His passenger was dead, and the truck driver that was out, who was about to, he gets pummeled with all the debris. He wound up with multiple fractures on his legs and stuff like that. He's in bad shape too. This is Thanksgiving morning on the Bruckner Expressway. This is literally just outside of 3 Trucks quarters. And Bob Mancini, I think that's Jose Otero over there. And this car just submarines right under the back of the hopper. That 2 people instantly killed, done. I mean, so I know Bob Mancini is like jumping up on the car, and he's like, so the firemen are trying to say, hey, let's use the cable from the garbage truck, and we can pull the dashboard up, and maybe we can get them out. And Bob's like, they're dead. Like they're pronounced already. This is an AI job. Like we're not disturbing evidence. We're gonna leave this alone. And you don't do a mechanical pull on like he gets only told the terminology, and these firemen just like wrap up their stuff. They got in their truck and they just drove away. Oh man, he's by the book, man.
All right, so you brought it up, and it's up again. And we talked about this. It's up to you how much you want to discuss. But you said this happened just before 9/11. So as we know, 9/11, and the loss was immense. But the loss to the emergency services unit was the biggest loss as far as a job.
Out of the 23, 14.
So if you want to walk us through your 9/11 experience.
Yeah, so I was off duty. I was RDO that day, but I was scheduled to go down to the Diamond District and work my side gig job escorting diamonds from the Diamond District out to JFK Airport and everything like that. So I'm heading down I just crossing over the bridge, and I'm listening to the radio, and I'm 99% sure it was Howard Stern's show, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna interrupt the show. Plane crashed into the building. It's a small plane. That's what they say this night." And I'm looking down. I'm like, "That's a lot of smoke for a small plane," so on and so forth. So I'm working my way off the bridge, coming down. I'm just about by the sewer treatment plant by 158th Street, I think it was. And I said, you know what? Let me just call quarters, like that. So I ring 3 Truck, and Jim Malley answers the phone. Everybody in, just come in, come in. Blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, all right, man. So I get off 158. I shoot across the island. I make a 3 truck in like under 15 minutes. I'm like, I'm there. Everything's a mess going down, going up, 0 problems. So I think I'm the very first guy recalled back at quarters. So I'm like, hey, where is everybody? And they're like, Vinny Danza's here. Jerome Dominguez and Walter Weaver, they're in the Adam car. They're down there already. Me and Jim were staying back with truck only. All the 4 truck went down. Like, you got John Coughlin, Driscoll, and all those guys down there, and so on and so forth. And Dan's actually did a tour change that day because he was getting ready to retire. He was taking a class for a machine, like machine operator class and everything. So he decided to do that morning tour, and then he was going to go out to his class and everything like that. He's over at 2 truck with Mike Curtin and Vigiano and all those guys in it, so on and so forth. So Rodell Glover comes in, Tyrone Tillman, they're coming in. So I'm like saying, I'm getting changed and everything, and the second plane swoops in and blasts into the building and stuff like that. So I'm like, holy crap! I'm like, Jim, like, what truck do you think I should be? What do you think should take down there and everything? He's like, he's like, do what you think. And I'm like, we're gonna be down there for a long time. Like, we're gonna be down there for a long time. So I was like, I'll take the MLG, which is the multi-lighting generator vehicle, the small pup one. It's got the 1620 kVW generator on there. You can pretty much energize an entire house off of this thing. So it's got a small aerial light tower configuration on it too. So I was like, all right, so we wait for one more guy to come in, and Rodell and Tyrone are going to take another spare REP down there, everything like that. And then once the second plane smashes in, it was like, oh, game over. Like, we ran to the safe. We started opening up. We started doing the mags, putting the M4s together and stuff like that. And Tyrone Tillman and G. Lovers wound up taking the big ballistic pot truck down. So, and highway meets us, and they give us the escort to go down the West Side Highway and everything like that. And just as we're breaking the threshold to go out of the out there, like, the new kid, I forget his name offhand, but he goes, how long you think? I said, I shrugged my shoulders at first, and all of a sudden we hear Tower 2 just fell, like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, there's your answer. We're going to be there a long time. We get down. 1 is still standing. It's burning. It's still stuff trickling out of it and everything like that. And so, like, TAC G's, total, it's controlled chaos. It's this, that, and the other thing going on. Like, we didn't know exactly where we were going to go or what we were going to do, but, like, we thought we were going to start going up between the Verizon building and that bridge that connects Tower 1, and we were going to go in that direction. And then we didn't get far at all. And next thing you know, you hear aviation saying, I think the North Tower is starting to lean, and we were like, it's game over. Like, and sure enough, a few minutes later, that building came down. We're all in the dust and so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's, like, nobody really knew, but we knew who was in certain buildings. We didn't know who, yeah, that was pretty much like a day or 2 later. But there's one also I sent you, I think, of the very first night. And we were down. Yeah, that's pretty much the first night down there. And we weren't finding anybody. I mean, we knew about the 2 Port Authority cops that were trapped down there. And we knew Scotty Strauss and oh my God, another 1 truck guy.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking who the other guy was. I can't think now.
Oh my God, not Pete Quinn. Oh my God. Anyway, but they were working on him and everything like that. And I remember helping set up the traverse line when they finally got him into the basket, and then we wound up getting all that out, and we wound up. I remember seeing the first port guy coming out of the pit, and we sent them out back down and everything. And then just as the sun was breaking the next morning is when the second Port Authority guy finally got freed up. That was our staging location down at Stuyvesant College over there. You'll see that little bridge in the background. That's pretty much where we staged all the location, all the equipment, and we started getting all that stuff together and sending shifts out. And yeah, it was intense. I did a little over 300 something out. That's a couple of days into it. If you read the plywood, it says DOA under truck. You know, the canine guys were excellent. They were hitting, bodies, or pieces of people and stuff like that. It's another horrific event. It's just insane, but we got through it, so on and so forth. So
Yeah, and
John,
then,
no,
yeah.
yeah.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say no one. You knew the three guys, right? From from Truck 3, right? It was Walter Weaver, right?
Wally Weaver, Jerome Dominguez, phenomenal guys. I mean, Jerome Dominguez is like a former SEAL or something like that. He was in the Navy Reserves. This guy was a
Right, the reserves, yeah.
scuba nut and everything like that. And Wally Weaver, he Wally Weaver. He rescues this little dog that was tied to a thing, and somebody wanted them to dart this dog and then send it down to the ASPCA, and he coached this dog in, and next thing you know, it becomes the house mascot. I mean, that midnight, I mean, that dog. And when we came, like 30, 36, 38 hours of being down there, the very first time we returned the quarters, like, we're beat, we're tired, we're coming in, we're dusty, we're crusty and everything. That dog sniffed each and every one of us, looked up at us, and she knew the three guys that did not pass through the door. It's crazy. That dog had a sense, an ability. And there's a picture that hangs up of the dog on top of Wally on the Noga hide and everything like that. It's like, sad, but memorable. And so Vinny Dance was a housing rescue guy. So I knew him from the housing days and everything like that. He was in a different PSA than me. I didn't interact with Vinny prior to housing rescue, but phenomenal. Probably one of the shortest E-men ever. Like, that guy went everywhere. Like, if we could get anybody, he was like our little tactical robot. Like, we could get him into things and everything. Vinny Dance, what a man. Love that guy. I loved them all. I mean, I really did. I really had a great encounter with just about every single one of them. I think the only one I never really got to meet was Brian McDonald. He was the youngest one that just literally. But I wound up meeting his cousin, who was a Midtown North cop and everything. They say they share the same last name. So
yeah, I remember when I was first became a captain in ESU, and I was responsible for Truck 3 and 4. But I remember coming into Truck 3, and the 3 lockers are right there on the stairs on the way up. So it's literally the first thing you see, and I mean that's how you remember. That's how you remember.
Memorialize those guys, yeah, 100%. And like, I guess the only way we could say it is like, just tell their story. Tell it like it is. The many great things, and the people that they saved and made their lives better, and so on and so forth. Like, it's Tommy Langone. Like, you got all the Santos Valentine. I knew his sister from PSA 4. Crazy. Like, amazing. Every single guy had a special talent in a sense, you don't want 10 guys that can do the 10 same things, because then you're useless. But everybody could do something different. Like, I always like the saying, besides the motto of ESU, I'm like, that the ESU was always like the Swiss Army knife for the entire job.
Yeah,
like,
true.
we can do it. We had the tools, and we can make it go away, fix it.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
I remember one night I had the duty, and you guys said, "Hey, you want to come to Truck 3 for dinner?" I'm like, "Sure." So I think it was standard that the guest, right, the U boss, right, the ESU boss had to bring dessert. So I don't know. I know Roger Savage loved ice cream cake or whatever, right? You guys
Did you
would eat the
ring the
whole
bell 3 times? Did you ring the bell 3 times?
always, brother. And then I get there and
Inside humor.
you guys they have a huge bowl of ribs, like beautiful
yeah.
looking ribs. They made these things. So I sit down and all of a sudden a pin job comes up. Now everybody jumps up and runs out. And I'm sitting there with the bowl of ribs and I'm like, I had to make like an executive decision. Do I eat the ribs? Do I go to the pin job, which obviously they don't need a captain on a pin job? Or do I sit on the dog hide, the leather with midnight? And I sat with the dog and waited for you guys to come back
He
because I
was
was
great.
lost.
That dog was great company. That dog
He was.
never said a word. That dog would barely bark at you, whatever.
No, he was great.
I mean, she'd let you know, let me out on the roof. I gotta take a piss. You know,
He would go
whatever.
up. Yeah. Oh man, great truck, great truck.
I honestly, I am very biased. I always say this: the men and women in 3 truck were phenomenal. Every single shift, squad, all of them. The bosses, one better than the next. I mean, look at Mike Kenny stayed
I know.
36 years, like, and he just got walked out. 37, maybe, if I'm mistaken. Extreme wealth of knowledge, talent. I mean, legends, and that's why I keep on saying I shouldn't be the first one. These guys over there that are amazing stories and
You know what it is though? Everybody in ESU, every detective, every sergeant, lieutenant, they all have that capability of teaching you and not like drumming it down to you. They teach you straight. I went in not knowing, right? I couldn't go through the specialized training school, so I had to go down, and I would go down and look at the big rescue truck when you guys would check the load in the beginning of the tour. I would do all that, and you guys would teach me that, and that's it. And that's what makes it different. Like a lot of times in the NYPD, especially not so much housing and transit, but the bosses are like they belittle people when they don't try to learn from them and learn the job first and then go forward. You know, the everything else will come later.
And the both of you can definitely relate to this also. Like, you can read it all you want, but when you do the OJT and you're doing the hands-on physical part of it, and it clicks in your brain, you're never gonna forget it. Like, you're never gonna forget it. Some people it might take 2 times, but 90% of the times we get it on the first shot. Like, it just resonates and it just comes out. It's like, wow. And like, when you see it in a diagram or you're trying to figure this out, but when you're actually tying the knot or you're actually putting the welding torch together and so on, so it's a phenomenal experience, because then you apply that skill, and then the success that comes out of it, just like inside, I'm jumping for joy. But when I get back to the command, that's when I'm like,
Right.
I'm like, Billy, we pulled off a masterpiece. Like, it's crazy.
Tom Joyce, part of the Finest Unfiltered family, co-host with Pete Pacelli on the 10-4 Tavern, Tuesdays at 7:05 p.m. Another great show last night, by the way, Tom.
I think it's Pete Pacelli's birthday today, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe it was yesterday.
Oh, okay. So, yeah.
Not 100% sure. And Tom.
Yeah, great guys.
Tom's mother, may she rest in peace. It was her birthday also. So, but great show. Go back and check it out on the Finest Unfiltered Network on the repeat. He says, I always loved when the ESU showed up to our capers. Special people. Thanks for sharing your stories, John. So it's
Anytime.
appreciated. And listen, you brought it up. You spent over 500 hours down at Ground Zero.
A little, almost 400.
Yeah, all right.
Three and high change. I want to say 380 something hours. Yeah.
Listen, whatever it is, it was months. We were down there for months. I remember I didn't get a 2-day RDO until we were doing 12-hour days. We had no RDOs at first, right? You were down at the pit every day, I'm sure, or
we were doing 16s. We were doing 16s, and we were doing like 2 days down, one on, because you had to get it up
on patrol.
we
Right.
needed to get out on patrol, and then 2 days down and down on patrol, and then 2
Yeah.
days down. We were cycling guys out like that, because if you send somebody down there day after day after day, it just wears on you, bro. It
Yeah.
just wears
No,
on you.
absolutely. I remember my, and like you're saying, you're going on patrol. It's twofold, right? People have to be on patrol because life did go on in the city. Um, emergency still occurred. We still needed the expertise of the emergency services unit out there, and you also needed a mental break
Yeah.
from being down there on the pile. And I remember spending many hours down there myself. And my first 2-day RDO was after I got promoted to lieutenant in November of 2001, and my first day in the lieutenant's classes was November 12th of 2001.
Yeah.
And that was the day that flight 587 went down in the Rockaways.
587 goes screaming down, and there's two guys in Adam 9, I think it was, and they're like, he's screaming into the radio. To this day I can't remember the guy's name, but he's like, "It's going down, Central. It's going down." Like he's transmitting this over SOD, and it's like, oh, oh my God! And like, here we are again. Like, is this terrorism? Is it whatever? And so I take the MLG again down there with Rodell Glover, and we pull up and we situate, and it's the plane's less than an hour it's down, and this is the very first photo I take of the aftermath and everything like that. And 6 houses are leveled, 6 people on the ground are killed. You can still see the American Airlines symbol. All these other houses are torn up and everything. Everybody on the plane is dead. But I mean, so when you compare 9/11 to this, at least like we were finding bodies, we were finding people, like we were getting like, I I don't know how to explain it, but I felt we achieved more. That's the landing gear of Flight 587, and like we just I think I got more satisfaction, I guess is the word, as like we were accomplishing more, we were finding people, and we pretty much got most of the people within the first day. I mean, maybe another day or two later, remnants of this, that, or the other thing. But
Yeah,
you know,
closure, maybe.
yeah, yeah, you got closure on this. Where the other one, it just went on and on. And I think even to this day, they're still doing DNA on bone fragments and identifying people to this day down
Yeah.
at 9/11s. Doesn't
No,
make sense. Doesn't make sense.
we were stuck because we weren't in uniform. After that, they made you go to BMOC or to the promotional schools in uniform because of this incident, because we were all in suits, and they
Right.
didn't want to deploy us because like what are 28 lieutenants going to do in a suit?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we actually sat in one of the classrooms with a TV and just watched it live every day. But you were down there, and walk us through, because like, listen, I can tell you what the conversations were on the other side of the TV. Oh my God, they just blew a plane out of the sky.
Yeah. So I mean, again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist guy. I mean, Flight 800, now this airplane, so on and so forth, the 587. It's like, you know, that was just before I left the 5 truck. We went out to Flight 587. But I accept, as I've stated before, I accept their findings on these incidences, but sometimes little things inside me, it's like, okay, they're saying it's that, but I don't know. Just that little hair on my neck stands up. I'm like, who am I to question it? But some things just don't resonate, or it doesn't make it sound like it is the answer or something. They're saying it's wake turbulence, the screw jack on the back of the tail fin of Flight 587, because it took off a little bit too sooner than the previous plane, and all this other stuff. And here you got 2 guys in Adam 9 saying, the engine kind of like broke off a little bit because it was banking, and then the tail is in Jamaica Bay, and like I don't I don't know. I'm not an FAA guy, whatever, but it's like, whew, you know,
Yeah, the
is it?
engine was 2 blocks over in the gas station on
Yeah,
129th Street.
yeah. So like I'm like are they maybe, I'm not saying cover up, maybe they're just trying to make everybody's feel a little bit more, oh, there's an explanation for this, and like maybe it wasn't, we already
What
got attacked, like
what was the vibe like down there that day? Is what I'm, you know, was asking really.
oh, I can speak for myself, and from what I was hearing from other people around there, it's like, wow, again, they got us again.
Yeah.
Like that was the message. All the humming and the jumping around, like this is, ooh, wait till we get them. Like I hope we bomb the crap out of them. Like send the military and just turn the desert to glass, and like that was. Now we're getting angry. Now we're getting angry because if this was the second event within that time period, I would be furious. 100%, I would be furious. Thank God no cops died that day, whatever. But it doesn't make it even better in a sense. But I'm just saying, like,
Sure.
they got to the general public. They pride on the weak, the people that can't defend themselves. Like they took a coward's way of possibly hurting us in a sense. That was the message I was feeling, and I think the general public was trying to say too, for sure. But
Yeah.
then we move on. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we're 2 hours 11 minutes into this. Let's hit that like, share, and subscribe. We got over 350 people watching right now. The chat's engaged. They're asking you, questions and everything else.
Sure.
But Rob, anything else you want to ask before, I mean, or, John, I mean, any other stories you want
Listen.
to tell about your career or anything, or,
I like when I reflect and I have these moments when I can talk about it. It makes me feel better that people understand that, like this isn't fake. This is what actually happened. This is, so on and
yeah,
so forth. Like and hostage job in 2007. Up in I want to say 237 in like Fordham Road or something like that up there. But I mean, this was everyday work. Like, and like
right,
you will come across a lot of guys that have been on multiple events. I mean, and shortly after I left, the Miracle on the Hudson happens. I mean, like, that happened the following year. Like I'm out, and there were
even not that long.
there were great E-men there. There were great harbor and aviation. I don't think they get as much hype as they deserve in a sense, or their acknowledgement, because we cross train with so many other agencies, the bomb squad, canine guys, aviation, harbor. Like it's like they're there too when jumpers are on the bridge and stuff like that, and they are a key component to everything that happens in the success that we get when we take down people that want to kill themselves and everything like that.
I think next month, a friend of ours it might become available to come on and talk
Okay.
about one of those other units.
Yeah.
I think his his time runs out, and he
Yeah.
can come on and freely speak. But
Yeah, of course.
you know, um, we talk about a lot of doom and gloom, because that's unfortunately, part of the job, right? And especially with emergency,
Yeah.
we see as the police, as patrol and the everyday cop, we see people at their worst,
Yeah.
and then when things get beyond our control, we call for help. And who do we call? We call
Right.
you and Rob and people from special operations and things like that to come and help us. And you've been involved in a lot. We've talked about a bunch of different situations and everything else. Do you want to get into Daniel and Chentuke?
Sure. I mean, so that's my second one that it doesn't haunt me. It's just another one that's like, damn, like we had them and then we lost them. Like so. It's a cold December night. It had snowed previously. There's a good layer of like 10, 11 inches of snow on the ground and everything like that. And it's about, I want to say it's about 3 in the morning, and we hear Adam 3, 10, 1, 10 to the desk, 10 to the desk, blah, blah, blah. So we call them up on the Nextels. We had Nextels back then. We go, hey, Tina Guerra. I think it was Tina Guerra. She goes, hey, Ford truck's got an emergency excusal warrant. Meet him over in the 4-8. You're gonna be the breach team like that. So it's like, yeah, man, no problem. So I'm like, she goes, it's in about 45 minutes. I was like, all right. So me and Billy go back to quarters. We take all the tools out. We make sure the rabbit tool's working. You always pre-prep everything, so on and so forth, so you don't look like you have egg on your face, so on and so forth. We go back. We have a cup of coffee. Maybe just sit down, relax. This. So we get in the truck. I'm like, Bill, come on, let's go. So we get in the truck. We go up the Bronx River Parkway. We get off Rosedale Avenue. We're at the traffic light. All of a sudden, I hear over SOD, 1013, 45 precinct, officer states, burglary in progress, so on and so forth. So I'm like, Bill, wait a second. I'm like, wait. So we stop at the light, pull over. I switch my portable over to the 4345, and I'm like, dead silence, nothing for like almost 2 minutes. I'm like, I'm just about to say, all right, let's go. All of a sudden, you hear over the 4345. 1013, officer states burglary in progress. Arnell Place, right off of Westchester Avenue. All of a sudden, you hear 45 Henry. There's shots fired come from that direction. Keep them coming. Like we're heading over there. It's confirmed shots out over there. I'm like, Bill, go, boom, punch it. We dip down onto the Cross Bronx, go down, get to Zariga Avenue, cross over, go over the drawbridge, and the 4-5 precinct going, we're holding to a gunpoint. 2 perps that Anshantegi shoots. So we pull up, and Billy jumps out, and the patrol guy goes, there's a guy down in the snow, not bleeding. He goes, there's a guy down in the snow. He's not moving like that. And they're like, we don't know. So we get down there. It's Anshantegi. His glasses up like this. His eyes roll back. He's motionless, and his shield is out, hanging out of his jacket. It's like, but he's in this snowbank, and he's like, so Bob Mancini and I think Glenn Peterson, they were in the truck. They're ripping in right behind us with the big truck, and we start stripping Anshantegi down. We open up his chest, and just before we see it, EMS lieutenant goes, relax. He's probably having an MI like that. And he's like, Bob Mancini goes, there was just a freaking shooting over here. He's shot like that. He goes like this. We got no pulse. He's not having an MI. And also we open it up, and there's the hole. Like, it's big, it's gaping, it's deep. And the lieutenant's eyes are like, I'm sorry. I'm like, let's shove an OPA down, start bagging them and everything like that. Billy's bringing the longboard down. I'm like, get that patrol car down here, 4-5. And we load them onto this thing and strapping them down. We get them into the back on the RMP, and we're backing the RMP slowly up there. I'm like, he's like, the lieutenant's like, the bus is coming. I'm like, get them up the block like that. So we get all the way up to the block, because if the ambulance comes down, it's going to be in a choke, and the ambulance is never going to move. So we're under the L, right under the 5 train, I think it was 6, whatever. And we transfer him out of the RP. We put him into the ambulance, and I'm pumping on him. I'm like, Adam 3 in the bus, notify Jacoby, CPR in progress, start out the blood bank, so on and so forth, blah blah blah, and all the way. I never stop. All the way, doors crash open, get in. They're waiting for us. Get him into the bay. They start working him, monitors, so on and so forth. And this doctor goes, all right, stop. He goes, he's got a heartbeat. It's not a good one, but he's got one. Like that. I'm like, whew. I'm like, ew. I'm like, can we get him up? Like, can we get him up? And he's like, we got to do, the doctor's like, let me do, you got a job. Let me do mine. Like, of course, I'm excited. I just want to, we got a pulse. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, he's shot, but so on and so forth. So they're working him. Next thing you know, the monitors are going wild again. They wind up cracking his chest. They open him up, they put the 2 things in, and they're jumping his heart with the 2 little spoons and everything. They're doing the heart massage on him and everything like that. And boom, the doors crash open again. I don't know how they did it, but they bring in Aunt Shantagi's dad. They wind up getting his dad. His mother is like very, very sick, very ill, cancer patient, I think, at the time. So the dad comes in and he's holding his son's hand. He's like, I'm here. I'm here. It's just rubbing his hand. This guy's lights out, never regains consciousness and everything like that. And they're like, just, and the doctors are like, just give him I'm like, no, you just give him a minute with his son. Like we're just saying, just give him a minute with his son. Like, I get it. You need that. We're not in your way, like so on and so forth. And flatline, it's over, so on and so forth. And they call it, and they take everybody out, and they bring the sheet up, they clean them up, and they bring Daniel Anchitegi into another room, private room. The 4-0 is flooding in. That's where he's from. Cops are coming in everywhere. I guess they're setting up for the mayor to come in or whatever, or at least the PCs, so on and so forth. So the Bronx PBA delegate is over there, and he's like, everybody in the room, blah, blah, blah. The father's there, and next thing you know, like, we're all holding hands, and we start reciting, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Pray for this soul. He was probably one of the youngest cops killed in the line of duty at the time, like very, very young. Credit to him, he has a Car 9 9mm. He's got 8 rounds, and every single bullet hit its mark. He got 100% ratio. This guy, Armento, who broke into the house next door to steal prescribed drugs out of a known house that's dabbles in stuff. And this other guy, Lilo Brancato, who is in the movie A Bronx Tale, they commit this heinous crime, and he interrupts the burglary in progress. And to hear the 911 call that he makes is like, hey, this is Officer Anchitegi. I'm from the 4-0 precinct. I just heard glass breaking. I'm going to investigate, but I believe there's a burglary in progress. Okay, we're sending people to you right now. Just, and like, I guess the 911 operator, and all of a sudden, like, the phone goes quiet. But he gets out as much information as he can. And he interrupts them as they're exiting out the broken window. And the guy has a .357 Magnum, lets off 5 out of 6 rounds, and 1 makes its mark, and it hits him right here, and it clips the superior vena cava, which is the major artery that goes over the loop of the top of the heart. And he bled in. The bullet did not transverse through his body. It stayed inside him and everything like that. And he drowned in his own blood, his heart pumped out, and but there was major damage. And it's another heartbreaking event that you just feel like you just didn't do enough sometimes, but in the end, it is what it is. I don't like saying that statement, but so I wind up going and I testify how we found him, because they're trying to say, the defense was trying to say he never announced himself as an officer and this and that and all the thing. And in the comments, I did say, like, when I rolled him over, his shield was outside, but it was tucked in, like, in the way it rolled out. So they tried many times to argue the point, but he definitely said it, and the shield was out. It was on the chain. And I was there for the vouchering of property up in the 4-5 and everything like that. So, and then the the detectives interviewed me, and if there were any statements, and Anchintegi was lights out the whole time, so he never got a word out saying that these were the guys or anything like that either. But the evidence proved that his bullets made the mark in those two guys. I think Lilo Brancato was shot twice, and Armento gets hit 5 times and survives. It's wild. Wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's sad, you know. And like you said, you know, you and a lot of the other E-men, you know, responding to so many instances. We've talked about several tragedies that you were personally responded to involving our members. You know, the apprehension of Gerard Carter's murderer, and then you know, a few months later, Matty Djowski, and then this. So yeah, it's a lot, you know. Any other you know, with 225 into it, don't worry if you got the stamina, you want to keep going, Rob, you want to keep going, you know.
So just on that, on that. So after he's pronounced at the hospital and everything, I get back to the scene, and now we're clearing houses and we're doing this and that and everything, and Resnick shows up. He's got to put his hand in everything, and he's like, "Did you do this? Did you do? I don't want you over there. Like, I don't want you over there." It's like
just again for the audience,
Chief Resnick. Yeah, like,
Chief Resnick, who what was his position at the time?
I want to say he was head of the detective bureau at the time,
Yeah,
or like
okay.
he was chief of detectives, and like he's like, I'm like, I'm not saying it to his face. I'm like, this is not a first rodeo, guy. Like what? And we're not in there like touching crap. Like, we're looking to see if there's any more bad guys in the building. Like, we're doing our stuff, and we're gonna do this. And I don't want yous over there. I don't disturb this. Just go. I do that. I mean, just I think sometimes they just want to be heard, or like sometimes they need to say stuff sometimes, and it's really uncalled for.
Yeah.
It's just like it's
That was my question I had for you earlier, but we moved on to a different topic. When we were talking about the bosses and your experience with bosses, and you got into your experiences with the difference between patrol bosses and ESU bosses. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about, you know, your interactions that you've had as an emergency services officer on the scene? You mentioned about the one on Gerard Carter's, you know, barricaded perp job, but you know, overall, your experience with supervisors while you were in emergency services and dealing with non-emergency services bosses.
okay. So I'm gonna tell you a Halloween story. There's a Halloween party that the 4O is holding on Third Avenue, down just a couple blocks off the Third Avenue Bridge, at a, I guess, slash like a social club or whatever. They rent this hall out or whatever, and so on and so forth. And somebody, an off duty, takes out his gun and he fires a shot off inside the building in the middle of the party. So we wind up going down, called for an evidence search, just a basic evidence search, and we pull up, and me and Billy Falk show up over there, and sure enough, like, I see the sergeant. Sergeant's like, go down there. See the lieutenant. Lieutenant's like, hey guys, glad you're here. You know, next, points me to the captain. Captain's like, meet the inspector. He's inside, like inside the building, and there's like 15, 20 cops in there. And now they're all over here, this, that, and the other thing, so on and so forth. And there's a couple of live rounds on the floor. There's a gun. There's one empty shell casing on the floor, this, that, and the other thing. But the gun apparently that was used is reloaded. It's weird. So this delegate comes up to me and goes, what are you guys doing? Like, what are you doing? I'm like, first of all, I said, you want me here because we want to find out where that bullet was, and hopefully nobody's dead upstairs. And I said, how about you take care of your boy and maybe get him to the hospital and tell everybody shut the fuck up. Be quiet until they're represented. What are you worried about what I'm doing? And the inspector's like, he got in and said, yeah, leave these guys alone. Let them do their job. Like, I'm not here to hurt nobody. I'm here to make a problem and figure out everything's going on in this sense. Like, we're trying to make a solution to the issue that at hand. We found the round. Everything was okay. The guy that let it go, he's going to get in trouble. It was a mistake. It was this, that, and the other thing. But now you had people that were trying to like run defense and everything like that. This is something you can't do something like that in a sense. You have to make it right. That's all I'm saying. It's a bad situation, but you have to make it right. Like that's it. And again, though, it was like the parting of the seas. Like they wanted us to just go to the next, to the next, to the next. And finally we reached the guy that was making the decisions. And he's like, glad you're here. This is what I got. Can you at least just find the bullet for me? That was the main thing over there. Just went upstairs. We made sure nobody was hurt upstairs because it's called a mixed occupancy. There were people that were living upstairs, and this is all of this and so on and so forth. So it all turned out okay, but they were turning it into a Megillah in a sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
When it didn't have to be a Megillah, it just let everything go.
Yeah, I used to hate when the bosses would check boxes. I wasn't a checklist guy. Just check the box. Call, right. You're at a job already, and if people are trying to figure out they got to do their 49. Oh wait, I didn't call ESU for an evidence search. And I get there sometimes, and ESU would come up, and I'm like, "What's up, guys? What are you doing?" I don't know. They called us for an evidence search. So I go to the sergeant. I go, "Sarge, let me ask you a question. Does their flashlight work any better than your flashlight?"
Right.
They're experts in a lot of things. Do they have 20/20 vision and you have 20/40 vision? Right. Well, why can't you get your cops to just set up a friggin' line and go with your flashlights? Well, you're just checking a box. Don't check a box and waste these guys' time. Yeah. I used to hate that. That.
No, I agree with you, Ron. I mean, if you need our services, I'll be more than. Listen, I will always say it like this. I don't forget where I came from. Cop needs. I'm there for the cop. Again, 49 precinct. These two cops, they go to a call on right across the street from Jacoby Hospital, and on Pelham Parkway, and they go to this call. They come back. All the lug nuts are missing, and the tires off the RMP. And now the RMP is like crap on its side and everything like that. It's like poof. And the 49 sergeant, Tracy, her name is Tracy. She used to be a mounted cop back in the day. And she goes, 49 sergeant, can you have ESU 85 as administrative like that? On Pelham Parkway. So like administrative. I kind of heard the voice, and Walter's on the phone, like calling her thing. Hey, Sergeant, what's up? She goes, I really can't say it. She goes, I think I'm gonna laugh, but you need to come here, and I think you guys can help me out like that. So I'm like, yeah, okay, no problem. So we get there and we see the tire completely off. The car's like, oh, look, but all the lug nuts are missing. They're missing. Like, so I'm like, these guys ain't. And sure enough, there's one lug nut near a storm drain. So I'm like, they threw them down. They threw them down the drain. Me and Walter get the hooks. We pull the sewer grate up. The old speakers had those big ass magnets on everything. We drill a hole, and we got every single lug nut but one. We put it back on the car, jacked the car up with the tool, put the thing back on. The 49 precinct gave us coffee for like a week free over there. But you know what? Like, that's what it is, to help the cop. Like the cop.
The cops. I remember I worked on the bus. I worked on the bus in Staten Island before I got on the job. And one time, at the end of the 440 from before it goes to the Staten Island Expressway, the portion of 440 that goes from the Bayonne Bridge.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. The extension. They call it the extension. Yeah.
Right. They have a turnaround now, but back in the day, we used to go across the grass. Well, Ron one night on the midnight tries to go around the grass,
Or,
It had rained quite a bit that day,
mm,
and Ron got stuck. And Ron was like, "Oh shit,
mhm.
now what?" And my partner's like, "I think Eddie's working Trent Acosta.
Yeah.
Let's call Eddie up." And
Boom.
sure enough, the REP came and wenched us
J
out. And
J hook and nice little pull.
whatever, they got us
Yeah.
out of the mud, saved my
Yeah.
ass.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's about helping. Like I said, when people need help, they call the police. The old
I would-
expression. When the
I
cops need
would
help, they call the
never,
nurses.
I would never berate or say, "Oh, you could have done that." No, no, no. Listen, that's what we're here for. We're here for you guys, no matter what. I'd rather do that 10, 15 times over. Just help them out and just say, "Hey, have a good day," so on and so forth. And it was greatly appreciated. They knew it. I we never like laugh or whatever. No,
Yeah.
like just like they would be laughing. They're like, sorry we got you into this. Whatever.
Rob, you got any?
I'm very, very happy to help. So,
Just with the evidence search, that was a ComStat thing. I can remember them asking you on the 49, did you call ESU? John, how many times did you just go over to the boss and said, "Here's my name. I'll see you later"?
without a doubt. So
Useless.
another nightclub shooting, down in Hunts Point. And I pull up and all I said to the boss, I'm like, "Hey, what you got?" And, we're down here for an evidence search. I said, so he goes, we found like we think 8 shots were fired. We got 6 shell casings recovered. I said, "Do you really need the other 2 or like is there a body on this or or are you just looking for a name?" And he's like, "I'll just take the name." I'm like,
Hey, you're not coming out with metal detectors.
No.
So you're going to take out a flashlight and you're going to look like any other cop that's on the scene can do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
this was just one of these up in the air, like whatever, and there was
It's like
nobody injured, nothing like that. And showcase, they got 6. Some of them were crunched and run over, so like I'm sure like a
oh,
bus, it's in a tire and it's
in
down
the
3
tires
miles
somewhere
somewhere
else,
else.
right? It's like when I was the CO of the Queens North Task Force. I stopped calling the precincts from calling level 1 mobilizations for bank robberies.
Yeah,
Because by the time we get there, it's so far after the fact. There's nothing the task force is doing. It was just checking a box of an old way of policing.
yeah,
By the time task force mobilizes and gets there, the guys either went and robbed another bank, because that's what you really should be doing. You should be deploying your resources to surrounding banks if the guy didn't get something, right?
right.
Think about it. Well, don't waste the resources. And I used to hate, and I'd get on some people about it. And they're like, "Oh, but boss, I got to put on a 40." No, you don't have to put on a 49. If there's a reason for it, there's a reason for it.
Right.
If their expertise is needed, call in their expertise. 100% I agree. And like you said, Rob, it's just about getting the name.
Yeah. For the most part.
It's listen, and listen, I understand it. When I was a sergeant, and so forth, I'm not going to say that I didn't do it, but I didn't know any better. That's why you need
Yeah.
people to teach them,
Yeah.
And listen, you know how I learned that? You know how I learned that, John? An ESU cop said to me one time, as a captain, he goes, "Cap, do their flashlights work?"
Yep.
I'm like, "I'm sure they do." Why? He goes, "Because ours aren't any brighter than theirs."
Yeah. Same thing.
Ding, the bells
I
went
have
off
I
my
have
head. So
I
I was
have night
educated
I
as
have
a
night
captain.
eyes just like you have night eyes. I mean, we both
I
can
got
see the same
educated
thing.
by a cop or a detective in the issue when I was a captain to say, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So it was great. God bless that guy.
Yeah.
Anything else with deep with 238 into it?
Sorry about that. I am
No,
so sorry.
listen, it's great.
I'm so sorry
We
about that.
love hearing your journey. We
Yeah.
love everything that you've been through. Is there any other stories you want to go over? Anything else about your career you want to tell us about? Tamara Cohen is asking, when did you get grade? How long were you in the issue? Let's say how long were you in the issue before you made detective specialist, and then how long were you a specialist before you made grade?
Right. So the transition from the merge, if we include the merge total in emergency service, it was 2002, just as the site was cleaned up down there at the 9/11, they started promoting. The story I got was that Pat Lynch, we were requesting special assignment pay.
Yep,
We
it's
did
true.
not we did not want to be detectives. We were very happy being white shields. Just give us the essay, give us the special assignment, give us hazard pay, this, that, and the other thing. And I know it was a contract year, and Pat Lynch was like saying, and I'm not here to bash Pat Lynch because he has a right to fight for the whole, PBA, for all his men, all his women in uniform and everything like that. But we were a little taken back because, like, listen, this could be like a stepping stone, for everybody eventually. Like, you get the special assignment stuff and everything like that. He's like, no, 9/11, this, that. I mean, he just went on and on and on. And Bernie Carrick turned around and goes, you know what? Screw you. I'm going to make them detectives. I'm going to take them away from your rank and file. They deserve it. I know he had a little special place in his heart for Vigiano, and he knew everything that we did. And we are a breed above, and we're trained to be a breed above. I'm proud to say it, and I'm not saying I'm better than your patrol guy or anything. I'm not taking that away from a regular everyday officer in and out on the street, because they encounter it before we even get there. So I give it to patrol. Patrol is the backbone of the entire job. I respect that. I understand that. But we do insane stuff like climbing bridges, scuba diving, rappelling out of helicopters. We do a lot of immense hazardous work, and I definitely do believe that we should have gotten the essay instead of being made detectives. That's my general opinion on that whole deal, and it's just terrible that the way he could. I think Pat Lynch could have definitely profited off of doing it that way than the other way, but I'm not the PBA rep, so.
John, he lost members by what he did. And
100%.
here's what I heard. So SOC, the Special Operations Command from FDNY, gets a 10% increase because they're in SOC.
Right.
So I heard that Carrick was like, all right, you know what? Let's give ESU guys. So they did. They wanted to give ESU guys special assignment, police
Exactly.
officer special assignment. But the
Yep.
PBA, Pat Lynch, put up a fight and said, I want that for everybody, not just give it to the ESU guys, when, of course, you guys deserved it. You go I think it's up to 9 months of training, right? So we know that the guys go through training, and the jobs you do is well above the normal thing a police officer does in municipalities throughout the country, really, when you think about it, right? Not even other SWAT teams do all the work that ESU does, right?
Yep.
So, and that being said, he ruined it. Pat Lynch ruined it for himself, because now every ESU guy becomes a detective, and they get
Absolutely.
membership goes there, you know?
Absolutely. It was a really missed opportunity that he could have definitely profited off of it 100%. Getting to what Marlon saw, I just saw that they should have the rank of corporal. So I don't know if you remember, but one night somebody in the command of 3 truck put a corporal stripe underneath my jacket, underneath the ESU patch on just the left arm, not both sides. And I show up on it. I said, "Yeah, what the hell? I'll do it." I went out on patrol that night. The heads that spun around that night. I'm like, this is just a experimental project. It's just a program. I'm like, you don't have to salute me, nothing. But I definitely probably could have gotten in trouble if I got caught like that, But
Well, when you think about it, though, when there's no sergeant working in the truck, there's a police officer, a POIC, police officer in charge. So
and
basically,
I was the
you
senior,
know,
and it's always the senior guy. We always made
right,
this. It was always the senior guy that became the POIC. So it was either Walter Sahaj or it was me. So
right.
we were the top 2 guys on the late tours in truck 3. So and he was squad 3, I was squad 1. So it would happen a lot. And I like to be in the truck on my first day, and I like to be in the truck on my last day. So day 2, day 3, day 2, 3, and 4, I would always want to be out on patrol. But day 1, your very first one, just be in the truck, relax, you know,
Right, do the entries. Yep.
do the entries, so on and so forth, you know, catalog all, you know, categorize all the, make accountability for all the guns, go do this. And, you know, and then on my last one, same thing, nice, easy day. The truck doesn't go out unless it's the real deal. Like the truck
Right.
does not just go on a random call, you know, it just goes out.
Now, do you think the grade in ESU, you made second grade, right?
I did. So in
Yeah.
2006,
But
4 years later,
do you
4
think
years
that
later,
grid, the way that grid the promotions in ESU is done properly? That it basically goes by your time in ESU and then why are you you're laughing though?
Was you see Eddie Lutz's comment?
yeah. Yeah, Lynch Ford and Carrick said, F you. That is 100% Eddie. You are right. You are absolutely right, brother. But
And class of
but
8311, just real quick,
all
class of
right.
8311. He normally has to leave for dinner
Yeah.
during our show. And he said, it's a great guest, great show. Captivated, didn't go 63, worked through his meal tonight. So that tells you, John, people listening.
Listen, tell him he's not getting overtime for that hour that he made.
Oh, no
right.
catch, you're saying no overtime, man.
All right.
That's
Sorry.
8311, no OT.
Here's a story for you, Rob, and you could probably confirm this. So in 2006, basically they started, the way we got made detective is now they're gonna do grade, and they're gonna give it to the people that were at 9/11, obviously. So going on and on and on. Next thing you know, I don't know who up at the Glass Palace or who out at the field, they're like, are there any women in emergency service? Like they were like, because guys, it's always guys' names. And sure,
Right.
we do have women. So they're like, oh yeah. So they're like, okay, the next two, and it was supposed. I swear to God, I was supposed to. I was that close. I was there. It was supposed to be me and somebody else going next, and they take Stevens,
Harriet Stevens.
and they take Leslie Leibowitz. They think he's a
They
girl.
think
Lester gets made a month before me because they think they're doing two girls.
They thought his name, they thought it was a female. That's great. That's great. We gotta ask him about that if we get him on.
You can't make it up. I mean, I think it's like this is the Kamadana thing, like what was going on too, you know, like so.
Yeah.
He was a little crazy, but he didn't hurt nobody.
No. He looked to do the best he could, but
Yeah.
see the problem was like I don't know as I tell the story real quick. I'm sitting with Steve Bonanno, right? And with Kamadana. And Kamadana's going, you know, when you guys work with aviation can't do that, they can't do this, and they can't fly this low, and they can't do that. So Bonanno was in aviation. He was a sergeant, he was a pilot. He goes,
Yeah.
no, chief, they can. He goes, no, they can't. Now this is Kamadana. No, they can't. So Steve Bonanno, right in front of Kamadana, kicks me and looks at me and goes, you know, I used to fly helicopters, right? And Kamadana explodes on him. I was
like the firecracker goes off in his brain.
Yeah,
oh shit!
exactly.
I'm sorry.
No, but you're right. He never hurt anybody. He was good that
Nah,
way.
I mean,
he always pushed for promotions
Yeah.
and everything for everybody.
yeah, he absolutely did. I mean, kooky, crazy stuff every now and again, or like absurd things that he would say. You know, like you know, I guess it's like that. I always say like somebody needs to say something, or they need to reinvent the wheel, or they want to put a stamp on something that had their name on it, or something like that. You know, so like, I get it. You know, because they want to be recognized,
Right.
you know. So, but when it all comes down to it, the khaki pants are back. You know, like
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy, right? It's like this is absurd stuff.
Listen, you don't want to go down that rabbit hole, John. We're almost 3 hours. Listen, are there any other times in your career that you want to just
wait, John? You know what? I want to hear the squirrel story.
All right. Animal jobs are my absolute favorite jobs of all time, and nobody even realizes that like there is no animal control unit out there. It's emergency service. We do it. I mean, I had a bat in a hospital. I've had raccoons everywhere, stuck in chimneys, so on and so forth. Blah blah blah. Me and Billy Falk, we get called out to Co-op City on the, I think it's like the 12th floor of this apartment building, and it's for a squirrel in the apartment. And so I'm like, Bill, put the kit together. Let's bring it upstairs. We have a fishing net, like just if we could swoop, scoop them up and everything like that. We bring the CO2 cartridges, everything, so forth. So now we're like, all right, this very young couple are just moving in. There's boxes everywhere, like their clothes are still out and everything. And there's this dresser. And the girl goes, I think the last time I saw it was like right behind that dresser over there. So I pull the dresser back a little bit. I see the tail. I'm like, Bill, it's back there. It's back there. I'm like, get the pistol. So we load it up. And he's like, how many cc's? I'm like, you're supposed to do 1 cc of Kedicet for every 30 pounds of thing. I'm like, get the dart. I said halfway. Just do it halfway. Like, when we're not here to kill the squirrel or anything like that. So he goes, all right, yeah. Put a little Vaseline over the tip so none of the fluid drops out. We tighten it up, put in the thing, we charge it, we fire once to make sure CO2 puffs comes out. We load it up. And he goes, let me shoot it. I'm like, all right. I'm like, calm down, you're gonna shoot it. So I said, listen. I said, the back panel of the dresser's missing. I'm gonna slip the drawer out, and then bam, you do it. I'm like that, right? So I slide the drawer out and he goes, okay. Bang! Dart goes sailing out. It slams into this squirrel's like midsection by his shoulder and everything. It shoots up the wall, and all of a sudden you see blood. Like it's a crime scene. Blood squirting out like up the wall. And this squirrel jumps out, runs into the kitchen. The boyfriend and the girlfriend are like, they're hugging themselves. Like running all over the place. I'm not trying to be animated at all about this whole thing, but next thing you know, it's almost like National Lampoons. Where's the squirrel? It's on Billy's leg, on his hip, on his back, pulling up his back. I'm like, he's like, what? I'm like, it's on your back. I'm like, on your back. I'm like, you can't feel this thing? And he's like, where? And he's like, all of a sudden he comes out. The thing comes down. Billy kicks it. I don't know how. And it goes straight out the window. 12 floors.
Oh.
91. Packed up our kit. We left. And we took up.
That's it. For those who don't know, 91 is condition corrected.
Yeah.
And Mike Freed, who's a friend of the show, was saying, wasn't that on the cop show? I remember something like that. That was actually a bat job on the cop show.
Yeah, bat or a rat or something like that.
It was a bat. They were trying to catch it with the net.
Oh my God, too funny.
Hey, Joe,
jobs, absolutely my hilarious jobs.
What was your we've heard about your lowest points on the job, I'm sure, today. Yeah. But like having these stories, Rob bringing up this job, I'm sure there's a ton of them. What was your most, like, your favorite time on the job? Does anything stand out? Anything specific?
Yeah, I've told this story a couple of times too, and I'm not sure many people know it. Again, 100% true. There's a videotape.
Oh, you're a liar.
There's a videotape from Taru that has this floating around somewhere. But it's 9/11 and it's getting towards the end of the cleanup, and there's this single beam that's in the southwest corner of the dig site, and it's the beam that they're going to cut down and they're going to put it in the museum and everything like that. It's the middle of February. It's spitting a little bit of snow, like whatever. It's cold, and I don't know why, but we're near it, and a lot of people have already put stickers, or especially like first responders, and some FDNY sprayed some paint on it and stuff like that. And I hear beep 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 beep, and I see these two Port Authority cops, and they're on that one of those scissor basket trucks, and they're going to the tippity top of the beam. They have a stencil and their spray paint. They spray paint the whole thing white first at the very top, and then they put the stencil out and they put PAPD 37 up there. I'm like, they come down. I'm like, they're like, yeah, man, what's up? I'm like, I want to go up there. Take me up. I said, I need to go up there. He's
And
like,
give me
yeah,
your
come on.
paint.
Yeah, I'm using your paint too. Yeah, like, I'm using your paint. I'm like, he's like, yeah, man, come on up. He goes, yeah. So they're like, once they're done with their thing, they left a piece of tape across the bottom. So now I'm like, I don't have a stencil. I'm gonna freehand this shit, and I'm going NYPD, and I go with the D, and I just go outside the beam, and now I'm like touching up the little edge of the beam, but the D, I almost screwed it up. So I'm sitting there, and they're like, I can hear the guys down at the bottom. What are you, ESU 14? I'm like, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. I go, 2. I stop again. I'm like, the 3. I'm like, we lost 3 guys from 3 truck. I did the flathead 3 at quarters. I sprayed in there. I'm like, that's for you guys. Vinny, Wally, Jerome. I'm like, that's for them. I'm like, but overall, it wasn't going to be them and us. We lost 23 amazing, brave souls down there, and I was not going to make it about that. I was like, there were 23 of us that didn't come home, and that was that. That was it. And that's why I say we never forget. It would never be any other way but that. That's the only way. Because I was one of my proudest moments, and it's the thing that I cherish the most. And I've never been to the museum. I've never seen that beam ever. I never
Yeah,
saw it.
no, I've seen it. It's great. I'm very proud that you did it, man. Not only did you represent the 14 guys from ESU and the 9 other from throughout the city and NYPD, but you represented every one of us. So
Yeah,
thank you, man.
yeah, no, I mean that for sure was never, never going to cross my mind. And,
Yeah.
and yeah, we lost 14 stellar rock star, like the talent and amazing. Those guys' stories will never, never, ever stop telling. They pulled off some miracles that many of us can never repeat. So I really, really miss them. I still miss the ones we continue losing.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, Pat Murphy's anniversary of passing from 9/11 illnesses today. So I mean, yeah,
Mhm.
terrible. It's the gift that keeps on giving. So unfortunately,
Yeah.
but that's my happy moment, and yeah, that was it.
Moment. It's a happy moment. It's just, it's rough to even say that that's your happy moment.
Nah, because it is. I really mean that. I mean, I really, really do mean that, because it's like like
Very.
Miller raising the flag, all these guys
Yep.
doing all that stuff. Not that many people realize that the first flag raising was absolutely done by an emergency service cop. It wasn't done by the fire department.
Wasn't it Richie Hardigan was in that? I think, wasn't
Yep,
it?
yep.
Yeah.
Richie Hardigan, Richie Miller,
Yeah.
all those guys. They They snatched up that pole. They climbed up there. I mean, the firemen held the ladder. It was a joint effort down there, but it was our guys that did that, and I'm sure that's an amazing, that those pictures of those guys raising that flag, the real one, not the, unfortunately, the one they put on the. Yeah, don't fake it, just it was the moment they thought about it and they pulled it off and everything like that. Yeah, that's the beam right there, bud.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Hey, listen, went through a lot.
yep.
You had a great career. We talk about, all the tragedy and all the heartache and everything else,
I would not change a single thing.
Don't get ahead of me and answer my questions before I ask them. That's our last
would
question.
not.
You don't know that question's coming. But listen, we always talk about, when we're part of the NYPD, right? We're always told, you're getting a front seat ticket to the greatest show on earth. So there was a lot of, we talked about a lot about your career, about the things that you came across, the incidents you're involved in, the lives you saved, the lives you've impacted, the rescues you've made, the closure you've given to families and things like that. There's a lot of fun times on the job too, right?
Absolutely.
And then in emergency services, I know that you guys get detailed out to a lot of things.
Yep.
How about this one, right?
The very last game at the old Yankee Stadium. There's Lieutenant Lisitra on the right. And yeah, there's Bob Mancini, the smallest E-man after Vinny Danz. Tommy Murphy all the way to the left. I think that's Joe Alward in the center, and that's me right next to.
You getting ready for paintball with those goggles, pal?
Yeah. Hey, I like keeping my peeps.
Yeah.
I was one of the first ones that always wanted my goggles with me all the time, no matter what. So.
What are you doing? You're doing a Hercules appointment there?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we did, and then halfway through it, we got detailed out to Yankee Stadium until the sniper teams got set up there and everything like that.
Okay.
So I forget the retired detail guy out there, but he's like, hey, you want to go out midfield and take a picture? So we did it on the field, just off of second base, center, and we took that one, and then we did one in the Monument Park next to the symbol on the floor. Not that many people know about the first medal awarded to a cop that was killed down there.
Hey, I got a quick question.
Sure.
All the overtime slips that you submitted for pin jobs at the end of your tour, were they really pin jobs?
So I will tell you 50-50. I will say 50-50. 50-50. So I mean, we get there, maybe spread some sand down and everything.
Hey, yeah, I remember last day at Shea Stadium. I was a Queens guy, as an executive, and I actually still have some a Ziploc, a gallon Ziploc of pitcher mound dirt.
Oh, nice.
I've given that away to some diehard Met fans.
Yeah.
'Cause that's a big deal to them, and but you get a lot of access and a lot of good things with the job too. It's not all bad. The camaraderie, everything else, the relationship you built with Rob. We knew each other before the job, but I have people that my wife sometimes says, they're really your friends. You don't even talk to them, but you have a relationship and a special bond with these people, just from the experiences that you've had and everything else. So, anything else before we wrap it up? Because we're over 3 hours.
I absolutely
and John,
agree with you.
Before you go, you're not only our first non-executive guest. This is our longest show. Yeah, since we're on the air.
You're absolutely.
And we have
100%.
more people viewing now than we had earlier in the show.
you're absolutely 100% correct on that camaraderie and the great relationships out there. I mean, they may be short, but even after retirement, we all get together down here in Florida once a year, or we go out to the plaza out in Long Island. There's a small group that gets together up in Rockland County, New York, and stuff like that. And there's a huge group gathering every so often in Staten Island. So, but yeah, for sure, it's probably one of the best ever. I do have one final story.
Oh, your sister is saying she's not surprised it's our longest show, by the way.
So I'm not even up in three truck, maybe 2-3 months, whatever. And I wind up working with Rodell Glover, and for some reason, I don't know why, but we get called into uh, two trucks area. I think they were out on they might have been out on a warrant or something like that, and it's for an EDP. So it's up in like, I guess, the Washington Heights. I can't even remember the street, but it was like an old house. It was like a 3-story walk-up Victorian home. All I remember, it was like the west side, just north of the GW. So there's two cars there, and Sergeant meets us halfway up the stairs, and the two cops are right at the door at the very, very top. And it's literally an attic. It's converted into an apartment. So he's like, we have a guy, non-compliant. He's not violent. He's just shut down. He's not speaking, nothing. He's just like, just standing, laying in bed. He's in his boxer shorts and he's got little sandals on his feet. This guy is so long, like his head's up against the headboard and his feet are extending off the end of the bed. Like, this guy's a big dude, and he's Jack. He's really, really, like, physically fit. So he goes, all we want to do is get him downstairs, get him in the bus, take him to the hospital. So I'm like, all right, no problem. So I'm like, hey, I know you're not talking to them, but would you talk to me for a minute? He's like, I'm like, what? I'm like, listen, they just want you to go to the hospital. I don't know what got us here or whatever, but maybe you can do it for me if possible. And he goes, I want to talk to my dad. So I look at the sergeant and said, did he talk to his dad yet? And he goes, no, he never asked. I'm like, all right. So there's a little landline phone. I'm like, what's the number? Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah, talk to your dad. Hand him the phone. There's the Quran is on the nightstand, and he starts going, halakha malaka, la 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 la. He's talking to his dad in Arabic and everything like that. For 2 minutes, this is going on. And the sergeant, you could just see in his eyes, it's like, oh my God, like he wants this to go away, like, fast. I'm like, I let him go on and go on and go on. I'm like, hey, what did your dad say? So he goes, I snatched the phone out of his hand. I'm like, hey, this is Officer so-and-so with the New York City Police Department. We want to take your son to the hospital. Apparently he's, not in his right frame of mind. He goes, I've been telling that guy to get to the hospital and take his medicine for months now, like that. I said, okay, no problem. He'll be at the hospital. I hang up the phone. I said, Mr. Adams, your dad said you're going to the hospital, and that's it. He goes, he gets up like this, and he like monster, eyes bulging out, chest out. He's so tall, he cracks his head on the ceiling of the attic. It's like dunk, and he's like, I'm like, the two cops are like, oh my God, like that. They're bumping into each other, and Rodell comes out. The old taser, the big black one with the two red cartridges, and he comes out and he goes, he punches it out and he goes, click to the left, and he goes, poof, the two darts shoot out, bam, like that. He tumbles, bounces off the bed, falls on the floor, and he's like, like, and I come up, I arm bar him, I bring it up at where his fist is hitting the back of his head. I whisper in his ear, I'm like, now, if you do not give me the other hand, he's gonna pull that trigger again. I said, nice and slow, nice and slow. Yeah. Click, click, click. Get him cuffed up. I'm like, you okay? He's like, yeah. I'm like, you need a breath? I'm like, roll him onto his ass. He sits up. He's like, oh. I'm like, now this is the deciding point. And only you can make this choice. I said, you can walk down like a gentleman out of this house. Well, you see that bag that's laying on the bed? We're going to put you in it. And unfortunately, there's only 2 of us, so we can't carry you. So you might go boom, 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 boom. So I was like, I said, you know how many stairs there are to get up here, right? And he's like, I'll walk. Left the darts in. I said, anytime you step out of line. My partner's got that button like that. He's like, all right. Composes himself. True to word. Get him in the back of the bus. And I'm like, gonna behave? You gonna behave? Did we learn anything here? He goes, yeah, don't mess with the cops with the baseball hat. Oof, that was rough.
Persuasion.
So he must have been a frequent flyer or whatever, but he never experienced us, and that was the last time he wanted to. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
great.
happy ending. Great story.
Anything else you want to add before we close this out, John?
No,
Anything
I
else? Anything
really
we didn't
enjoy
touch
I
on?
do enjoy your show. I do enjoy your show. It's the topic that catches me. I don't watch every single one of them. I'm not there all the time, but yes, I'm in your fans, and I watch the topics that's going on these days and everything. So I really enjoy it. And you guys really do hit the mark on most of what you want to say. And it's great seeing it from 2 different perspectives, because if you have everybody agreeing on everything, it'll never get figured out or whatever. So, but yes, I appreciate it.
Bob, before we hit him with the last 2 questions, you have anything else? Any other questions or anything?
No, John, thanks for being with us tonight. It's always a pleasure seeing you. Listen, I enjoyed working with you. I mean, you
I
taught
did
me a
too.
lot. You did it, you know, you were a true E-man, and again to this day you still are. I know that you always put everybody from emergency and the job ahead of yourself, and you really exemplify what it means to be a true E-man.
I try to make all the walkouts. I try to make all the funerals. I try to make everything, and I really do. I don't miss the job. I miss those guys. I really
Yeah.
do. Great time.
You want to hit him with the finals?
No, you go ahead. You got it. You got it.
2 questions that we ask on the Finest Unfiltered when we have an interview.
Absolutely.
Take John Latanzio, with everything that you know and that you've experienced in your 20 years of service. Go back to that kid who got that phone call to show up at Brooklyn College. Would you do it again?
I would do it again, but I am not gonna lie. When Billy Howe called me and said the ambulance, and that was really like this. I was really teetering on the fence. Both great paying jobs. Both love motivated the drive for both fields of the medical aspect and but playing with guns and knocking down doors was even cooler. So I'll say that.
Well, if you went to work for Billy, you'd still be working. At least you have your pension now. We won't get into that part of the conversation. The second part of the question, John,
Sure.
is knowing everything that you know, knowing everything that you've been through, experiencing everything you've experienced, and seeing where the NYPD is today, 2025. Would you
So
join
go ahead.
today and join today's police department?
That's a big NO. That's a big NO. Because where it is today from where it was then, we are not respected. We are not respected. Everybody thinks they know the law out there. Everybody's a Google. person. They know this, they know that. It's back then it wasn't tolerated. It was not tolerated. We were respected. People knew not to come off gangster or anything like that. Or listen, we're here to help you. Like we're not here to play games. Do we have a couple of rotten apples? Every job does. I'm not going to deny that. We got some boobs on this job sometimes. How they got through, we don't know. But we find them eventually and we get rid of them. But the bottom line is the police department comes out whenever they call us and we don't say no. We come. Like that's the craziness that I don't understand what society sees how we're the enemy. And then when like we're supposed to be proactive and now it's going back to those reactive days. All right, let the chips fall where they may and we'll clean it up and maybe we'll find the killer or the rapist or whatever. And you're okay with that? That's nuts. That is nuts. I don't get that.
Tom Joyce.
That's my rant. That's my rant.
No, listen,
Yeah,
it's
it's
understandable. We've all said pretty much the same thing. Tom Joyce, to this day, remains the only interview who said that he would. So, but Rob, any final thoughts?
Was Tom Joyce drinking at 10-4 Tavern when he said that?
The tavern wasn't open yet. He was still building the tavern.
That wouldn't be at the Joyce's on Forest Avenue, would it be?
Yes, that's right. That's right. Well, I never been there. Or Bay Street, pal. We never spent the night on Bay Street either. But hey, listen, John, God bless you, my friend. We thank you.
Anytime. Listen, I am at your
listen.
will anytime you need a perspective or anything like that.
And that's the thing about the Finest Unfiltered. Once you've come on and you've done an interview and you've memorialized your career, you're now part of the Finest Unfiltered family. You may be called upon by us if we have a subject matter that we want to bring you on for your expertise. You may be called, you never know, to join the Friday Roundtable at 0805 with Eric and John, because prior guests also come on for their show. So we may call upon you, and
I'm at your disposal anytime. And I really, really appreciate that you made me the first, and I really, really am extremely honored. But I'm not going to beat this dead horse. There are some really big legends out there that you should actually look into also.
I mean, we will.
Yeah,
we will. Sure. We appreciate it. We appreciate, your friendship. We appreciate all that you've done and all that you've given personally and professionally to the city of New York and to the people of the city of New York. I'm glad that we did this because we've reunited as friends, and we're going to stay in contact now. So that's a great thing. I know you and Rob are.
If you're ever down in Florida, you got two places to come to now.
Well, I got a whole bunch.
East Coast or West Coast? You can go decide what coast you want.
Finest Filtered is out there. Me and Marlon are the only ones hanging on. We're hanging on to New York.
Wait, it depends on where the hurricane's coming. You can either kind of the West Coast by me or the East Coast by John.
There you go.
Exactly.
So, listen, again, John, thank you so much for joining us. Hang out for a couple of minutes. We just got to close out the show. Hang out. We'll talk in the studio. All right, so just hang out for a couple of minutes.
Just thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. And God invented emergency service so even firefighters can have heroes.
There you go.
We didn't get into it. We didn't get into it because I know that you had a good relationship. So we didn't want to antagonize our friends in the fire department. We love them. We respect them. So thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate it. So we got tomorrow on the Sal Greco show at 1:05 p.m. Tomorrow he has Mark Fisher as a guest.